Yo, yo, yo.
Hello.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Heelanhammer, episode 100. So, on today's show, we forgo the usual formalities as we're joined by superstar special guests, 10 of them, and they're going to be asked 10 questions and provided 10 answers, which, if you do the maths, might possibly be, Wayne?
100 answers.
100 answers on today's Heelanhammer. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Heelanhammer. www.oddgames.co.uk. Check them out. Tons of good deals at the moment, especially if you're into your board games or your trading cards and all that kind of business. So, today, there's no news, there's no special segments. It's literally us and some guests. So, we're going to get straight into it, Wayne. And I'm going to ask you the same set of questions that we've asked, or going to ask, lots of our guests. Some of them are show related and some of them are just Warhammer related. Lots of different reflections, I suppose. It feels a bit odd to be doing this straight after a show where we did a similar thing with the Christmas show, didn't we? But it just happened to fell back to back. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. And straight on after this, we'll be looking at event coverage and different bits and pieces. So rolling on 2014 and looking at what our hobby New Year's resolutions are going to be. It's going to be a good show on the 31st of Jan. But hopefully you enjoy this one in the meantime. So, Wayne, what is your favourite unit in the game and why?
Right. This is going to make a few people chuckle. I'm going to stick by my love of rat ogres.
No. I really thought you were thinking 2014, New Year's resolution, cast everyone aside, and you're going to pick a Trish model.
No.
The
reason I love rat ogres, right, is because I have this massive expectation in the game of them, right?
Yeah.
Which is usually ends up with them running off the table, dying, whatever. They massively underachieve, right? Because they're not very good. But you get that 1 in 10 games when they just smash the world, right?
Yeah.
And it just makes me feel all warm inside. And I feel like I was right. You know, I feel like I was right, and then the next game tells me I was wrong.
You really wish it was on video so you could let people see it on YouTube. Yeah, check me out as I school people with my rat ogres.
But what I'm praying for is the day when the new Skaven book comes out and rat ogres are just the best thing in the book.
35 points a model and got regen, and then everyone uses them.
Yeah, they're the best. Yeah, the vomit attack. Yeah,
exactly.
And they're the best thing in the game, and I can just go, that's cool.
Yeah,
I've got 25 in painting.
I got 25.
I was there from the start. Yeah. I've always been there.
I'm no bandwagoner.
And then when someone says to me, "Oh, you're just using them because they're overpowered," I say, "No."
You bring out some photos from 2000 and whatever year, whatever decade.
Yeah.
There we go.
So yeah, but they are my favourite. I love the way they look. I just like playing with them. I just love them. I think they're great.
Good. I like it. Okay then. So if you had to play one army forever and only ever, I'm sure we know the answer, what would it be and why?
Dwarves. No.
Oh man, you could have waited. You could have just gone dwarves. Okay.
That's it. Yeah, dwarves. Yeah, because they're my true love. No, Skaven, obviously.
Skaven.
I always go back to them. I love playing with them. I love the background. Absolutely, just I think it's great. And I just love everything about them. I won't go into too much because everyone's heard it all before.
Good. Okay, I agree with you. So, how did you lose the last game that you lost? We might be here a while.
I love the way this is worded, as if I don't lose that many.
No.
Well, I've been playing Triumph and Treachery the last couple of games, and
you won, haven't you, as well?
I've had, I think I've had 3 games now.
Yeah.
Triumph and Treachery, or 3, I think, and I won the first one, but the one I lost is the reason I usually lose games is that whole I get a rush of blood and I'm thinking I can have that unit and I charge everything and it all goes horribly wrong. I mean, I found in last year, the one tournament that I played really cautiously in, which was Beasthammer.
That's probably November before, actually. But
was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, going right back. I mean, that was the only tournament I've played. I actually took the bell list and I played really cautiously, and I only lost 1 game. So it's like I didn't really enjoy it, but I just I got stuck in this game, and it just all went bad, and everything just got torn up. Well, not everything, but once you get into combats that they're not great in combat, are they, Skaven? Let's face it. They do get, especially with the current meta, with a lot of heavy cavalry, monstrous cavalry, a lot of guys flying around on beasties and stuff that do a lot of damage. So the usual, really. I mean, it's Skaven. I think I don't know. A lot of people at Skaven are struggling at the moment. They went from a really powerful army to now they're not all that.
No. I mean, there's never been oddly a massively popular army. I wouldn't say on the UK tournament scene, at least. There was
Might
a
be just
splurge
a
of people
sheer
picking them up.
sheer
but-
volume of models to paint.
Yeah, I can
Maybe.
see it. I can see it.
I mean, once you say 120 slaves, that does put a lot of people off.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Okay, good. Here we go. I like this one. Who is the best player you've ever faced and why? What was it about them?
I got two players here. I've been in tournament players. It's 15 years this year. I'd say that I can't really choose between them. When I think it was 1999 when I first went onto the tournament scene, and I met Rob Lane and I met Adi McWhorter, and in my opinion, they're the two best players I'd played at the time. They were both at the top of their game, and what got me about both of them was even when things weren't going their way, they were like total poker face. They'd have, say poker face. They'd smile and it'd be like very relaxed, and they'd give you a good game, and there was no kind of gaminess about anything they did, and it was just. But they were in control. Yeah. Even when they were losing, they were in control, which sounds a bit sort of bit of a strange thing to say, but real kind of especially. I mean, at the time, Rob Lane was he was winning everything, but I'd have to say probably it would just edge. It would be Adi. Just because he's had this whole, no one ever had a bad game against Adi. Adi would take every model you had, and you wouldn't say a bad word about him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You never come away from the table thinking, "Oh, that was just ridiculous." His army was way over the top. You never had any of that. And I've actually watched games that Adi was in when he was literally losing. Everyone knew he'd lost it, and the tournament, it was the last game of the tournament, he'd lost it, and then 10 minutes later he'd won it. So I'd have to say, if I had to choose between the two, I'd say Adi. Adi's the best player I've ever seen.
It's always I think this is going to be an interesting question to ask people, because I think it's a hard one to sometimes work out why you think that person is really good. But a lot of time it is what you say. I think it's about control. It's like you feel like that person's just all over it and on a different plane to where you're playing. So.
And another thing as well, when you kind of like, I say, when I watched games that he played and he looked like he was losing, and people that, Dragon Slayers, the club that he was in, other members of that club would turn around and I'd say, he's getting smashed. And they say, it ain't over yet. Because they know, they knew what he was capable of. And when you actually see it, it was just, brilliant. But the fact that he was a complete gentleman with it as well, it's just, top player.
Good. What was your most memorable Warhammer moment in the game then, Wayne?
I think it was the Pompey Pillage. I can't remember what year it was, and I was on table 1 and I was playing against Rob Lane, and he'd smashed everyone that weekend. I think he'd got like what was equivalent of like a 20-0 win. It was a different system, so I think it was like a 32-point system, but he'd smashed everyone, and I had Beastman and he had Beastman, and we're on table 1 last game, and I could have won the game.
Yeah,
I had a charge in the flank with a unit. I think it was unit Bestigor on his Bestigor, and it's really weird because obviously like, Rob was used to playing at that level, that position in a tournament, and for me it was the first time I'd ever been in that position, and I just got it wrong, and I actually forgot because there was so much going on. It was like real nitty gritty of the game, and it was the last turn, and I forgot to charge my Bestigor. Yeah. I actually didn't do it. And then as soon as the game ended and we worked out the points, Rob had won the game.
Yeah.
But I was the only player who didn't smash all weekend. And I looked at and he looked to me and he looked at the table and he went, "Why didn't you charge them in?" And I just looked at the table and just heart sank.
Yeah.
So not from a positive point of view, but it's kind of looking back at it. If I'd have thrown that unit in the flank, then that could have been a podium. Well, it would have been a podium finish for me.
Yeah.
I think Rob still would have won the tournament because he was so far ahead, but I might have picked up a second or third. So that's always stuck in my mind. That was always that kind of it was I was gutted at the end of that game.
Yeah, well, you always remember those. What is your favourite event you've attended and why?
This is difficult as well.
I know. Whoops. Apocalypse.
There's two actually.
Yeah, go on, Em.
The first event I ever went to was a
Club Challenge.
It was Club Challenge, and it was at Warhammer. What is Warhammer World now?
Yep, I've got the photo from that event.
Yeah,
somewhere.
And it was amazing. It was just like I got absolutely battered all weekend, but because I've been literally my experience of the hobby, apart from doing a bit of club gaming, was just painting. So I went to this tournament and met all these new people. Who, a lot of people I met on that first tournament, I'm still really good friends with now. It was a wonderful experience. Loved every moment of it. It was just great. It really sort of, I got brilliant. I remember playing. I remember playing one guy where I literally chucked my whole army in on this one unit of trolls, not really knowing the combo he had. He was like Banner Rage and stuff like that. On this, he had this basically it was a Chaos Warrior that was on a horse. Remember, he had Banner Rage and he joined the unit of trolls. And then I lost the combat by 13. I charged everything and lost the combat by 13. Lost my whole army. But I loved every minute of it. It's that kind of. It was just brilliant seeing that many games together, and it was.
I think Warhammer World adds to that as well.
Absolutely.
That was a big memorable one for me as well. I've been doing tournaments about probably only a 6 months maybe before. I think I've gone to literally one or two before that tournament.
Yeah.
And I remember going, it was my first trip to Warhammer World and seeing the game stay displays in the place always sticks in my mind. And I was keen. I had a camera there. I've got all the photos from that event, and I still look at them now because I took all the photos of the armies that I played against, and it's quite funny looking back on them. How it's all changed. I mean, Warhammer World doesn't look like it does in those photos anymore. It looks like a castle now.
Yeah.
In there, it was just a hall.
It was,
bigger hall actually, but yeah.
I think it's just the whole thing of where it was and what was going on, and obviously it was the first time I'd ever done it. It was great. I loved it, and I picked up it wasn't a painting trophy, but I picked up a kind of an award.
Wasn't it like a bust or something?
Yeah, I picked up. It was a Night Goblin bust, and like a certificate saying I think it was most original army. I think was the thing. From what was the WPS at the time. Yeah. And that kind of really then that kind of said to me, no, I'm not in the league of some of these painters, but obviously there's potential there. So, and that kind of spurred me on to kind of get more into the painting, which I loved anyway. So that, in general, though, whoops, because to me it's just like it's almost like a weekend of the club getting together and saying, let's play Triumph and Treachery all weekend. There's that kind of feel to it. And I love whoops. I love the randomness of it. I love the fact that it's only a small event. There's only 16 to 24 players. It's just it's so laid back. You're not really bothered if you win or lose.
No,
it's kind of that which is very different from a normal tournament, because obviously with normal tournaments, you are trying to win. Obviously you are trying to win your games, but it's not such a blow if you don't. So those two. I know I'm giving two answers for the last two questions here, but I suppose when you've been doing it for as long, it's very hard to narrow it down to one thing, isn't it?
Definitely. Good. Okay. What is your? I'm going to ask you this. I mean, there's 10 questions, but I'm not going to ask you all 10 because some of them are about the show. But we're going to leave those to our special guests. But what's your favorite? What's your gaming or hobby goal that you have yet to achieve in this game? So you were saying, you've been doing tournaments 15 years, playing the game for a lot longer than that. But what haven't you got that you would like?
I'd like. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna have to put some serious games in to do this and actually pull my finger out and actually, I would love to get a podium finish with Skaven. Not just a podium finish. That would have to be with Skaven to actually for all the years.
Yeah, you put the effort in. Surely.
All the years. Well, I'd say no. I haven't put the. I mean, I did in the early days. I mean, the first probably 5 or 6 years, I did play a lot of tournaments and I did put the effort in. And it was kind of moving in the right direction, and I had some, okay results. Obviously like Weymouth in 2004 when I won it, and then it kind of just got really, really just hobby. And then I started playing less and less and less. And obviously in this thing, you have to play a lot of games, and you have to put and your army has to be competitive, unless you can't do it. So I've got to address that massively. You know what I mean? Because joking aside, it's like anything. It doesn't matter how I always joke about how bad I am at the game, but I don't play enough. I don't get anywhere near as many games as I should do, and I don't take it as serious enough in tournaments that warrants doing well.
Yeah.
So that has to be sort of sorted out. So yeah.
Okay, I like that one. I think that's certainly achievable as well, which a lot of these are with the right amount of effort and bits and pieces in. Good. Now, what I wanted to ask you, I'll leave the next two questions because our guests will answer these. But what's your most memorable? We've been doing this show, coming on 4 years now with a bit of a break in the middle. So, what's your most memorable Heelanhammer moment?
I think the first show to come back, because of obviously finishing the show and kind of like we don't, the reasons that we had for finishing the show, we didn't really want to. So kind of like the break we had, and then when we discussed it, and then we came back, and that first show when we came back, that was probably stuck in my memory the most, because it was kind of like, I'm really glad we're back on this, and really, I would say that would be the defining moment for me out of all the shows.
Good, I like it.
Right then, Dan, let's direct these questions at you. All right, let's start obviously at the beginning. What's your favourite unit in Warhammer, and why?
My favourite unit in Warhammer. This one was a tough one for me, and I considered Skaven, many Skaven units, some vampires, some of the armies that I've been playing the longest, I think. But one unit sticks in my mind when it's a favourite unit in the game. And you made a joke when I told you the answer to this question was that Saurus mounted characters. As you said, I've made a career off of these bad boys at one point. I think that they stick in my mind as being my favourite unit just because they were so flexible. They scare people. I've used 3s or 4s. So I remember doing the Masters a few years ago. I think, it was the one I come third at. And that was 3 mounted Saurus.
Scarvets.
Scarvets, yeah. So, that would probably be my favourite unit. I also enjoyed it. I spent quite a bit of time, probably my most heavily converted model I own is a mounted Scarvet. So, and that was using part of, is it Gore, the guy on the car.
Gorok or whatever his name is, yeah.
Him, part of the metal one, part of a coal one rider, and some other bits and pieces, basically. And I have a converted one that I use quite frequently. So, that I would say that was my favourite model.
Okay, then.
And he's broke, obviously. So
he's broke, of course. Okay. If you had to choose one army that you had to play for the rest, until the dawn of time, what would it be?
I think this will surprise some people because I'd imagine long-term listeners would expect me to say Lizardmen, and I really, really, really wish that was the case. It was very, very tight. I would, but the current book, I don't know. There's just something about it. I don't necessarily want to play it. I wouldn't want to play it all the time. I really like the artwork, the history of it, brilliant. But the actual list itself doesn't inspire me to pick out my own thing and start playing. Maybe a missed opportunity by Games Workshop. I don't know. Just didn't quite tug at my heartstrings the same as it used to. So I went with Skaven. I think the reason being is that you get massive variety, which is what the Lizardman list lacks.
I'm genuinely shocked.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd say Skaven.
Yeah, I think that not necessarily for competitive, but if I had to pick one that I'd have to play forever, the reason being is that they're one of my favourite armies in terms of background, and they're genuinely, I can say, the only models in Warhammer that I actually enjoy painting.
Yeah.
Out of all the different ranges, I love all the Skaven models they've done, and over the years, they're the only thing I actually enjoy painting. I do. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy a bit of Lizardmen, but I like the theme more than the actual models, if that makes sense. I find that my painting style suits Ratmen because they're small detail. They look a bit raggedy, so you can get away with some sharp lines and things. So,
see, I thought you would have said, obviously, depending on if they had a good book, I thought you would have gone for Wood Elves.
Yeah, that was another possibility as well. I think that I enjoyed those more than many armies. That I've played. I've really enjoyed the 8th edition Lizardmen at the start of Lizardmen. I've got to say they were fantastic because they felt like I like when I like to play Warhammer. I love the whole synergy of a list when it works. You go in, you buff this works. This is high movement and dictating the battle. Like a combination of things. And Lizardmen and Wood Elves are very similar with that kind of stuff. The vampires and the Skaven are a bit more static, but it's a different play style, and that's why I've enjoyed playing those armies so much over the years. But I think if the book was good and I felt like I could be at the moment, I think the problem with the Wood Elves is I don't feel like that you play the game. Your opponent's playing the game and you're trying to not to play the game, and that's why I probably wouldn't pick that. But in this moment in time, if I had to pick anything, I think it would be the Rats, because I think that they're not ultra competitive anymore, like ultra, but they've still got in the right hands. They're still really good, and I think that they're just the variety.
You mean
of
not
builds.
mine?
Well, no. It's just variety of builds and units, and it would keep me entertained from a hobby perspective. I think that's why. So there you go, Skaven.
Okay, the last game that you lost. What was that game and why did you lose it?
It's always a weird one for you and me talking about this because we always talk about our games on the show, a lot of them. So I won the Triumph and Treachery game I played in the week, so I can't mention that one. It would have been when I lost my Vampire Lord by turn 3 recently. I think I covered this on the show, so I won't dwell on it. But I didn't think thoroughly what I was risking. I know that sounds silly considering it's a Vampire Lord, but I honestly thought in my head, no worries, I'll kill it in 2 turns. But I really didn't consider if I don't do this, what happens. No, in both ways, as in if I don't go through the unit, what happens? But also, if I don't charge, what's the worst that he's going to do to me? All right, I'm not winning, but the game's not over.
Yeah.
As it happened, it ruined it really for both of us because the game was over in like an hour. From get your figures out to going home probably. So yeah, I would say that it was about it. It was through misjudgment, and I think that there's a lot of reasons you can lose games. Some of them will be lack of knowledge or those kind of things where you genuinely get caught out.
Yeah.
But I think the majority of cases for people, you get the odd one where it's bad dice, but the majority of cases, I think it's because people make wrong decisions. And there's a prime example.
Yeah.
It was a wrong decision. So, and sometimes that can be rusty, but I think often we talked about it a lot. I think some people are better at working out in their head and thinking about it. Some people like me have to see it in action and then go, I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
And then I won't. And experience is everything, I think. So, yeah, there you go.
Okay. Question 4 now. Who's the best player you've ever played and why?
Do you know what? It's a real tough one. That is a really, really tough one. And I think over the years, as you've said, it's hard to put to say this person. I mean, I'm going to name a few here that over the years I thought were good. His head's going to go, oh my God. Several of these people's heads are going to go quite bigger. I think there's a few people. I'd say Russ Veal, who's been on the show, undoubtedly for me, the best player in the country currently. And if he plays a lot, and he's playing more than ever, really, apart from he might not be doing as many tournaments, but he's actually playing practice games, which he never did before. He has always just seemed to see things that other people don't see, especially with combat armies, and that's always impressed me. And more so, not necessarily playing him, but playing in a team environment with him and watching him do it to people. You think, how did that ever get in combat in that way? And I've spoken to people also on like ETC teams and things that have seen him do it and say, how does that happen? So yeah, I'd say he'd be up there certainly on current day. I'd say in his day as well, not that his day's over, but 7th edition, one of my regular sort of nemesis opponents would be Mr. Ben Curry from the Bad Dice podcast, with that army, with Dark Elves in 7th edition, when he was good with it, he was very good with it. He was right at the top of his game. He was playing loads, right at the top end. And that kind of, when you're playing someone who's been that practiced with an army and knows the matchups better than you, it's a real sort of tactical challenge. And that was... when you talk about modern day type players, those, I know Michael Biggs isn't around the tournament scene a lot anymore, but he was another one. And that's all from that, what I call the 2009 to 11 type era. Those kind of guys, I'd say, even Ben, I'm not even mentioning people like Ben Johnson and who's been consistently great, all those kind of people. And then you look back through the years, you mentioned AD McWhorter. I've only had the privilege of playing him a couple of times. And I'd say that's after the prime time. But when I first got on the scene, these guys, I've not played them, so it's at that point, so it's hard to picture it sort of in their prime. But I can only imagine, what it would have been like playing these guys when they were well cared. Because I think that's the big difference. We said it before. Good players don't suddenly become bad players. They just don't care enough to put the effort in or keep up with it, or they just want to. Well, I don't know, for whatever reason they don't care enough, and that's and they sit around the mid tables having good fun. So, it's tough. I don't know. You could list so many people. I played a German guy called Felix, who's probably the best I've ever seen. That was this year, actually. Best I've ever seen a vampire player play. I mean, I play a lot of people. I think that I have a lot of time for in terms of their ability. I think there's quite often people don't appreciate what their opponents do. They get focused on, oh, I didn't play very well, which is important for getting better, but it's also sometimes you have to look at your opponent and think, well, actually he knows the matchup better and he played better than me. And that was apparent when I was playing the Empire this year and didn't know many of the matchups. I remember playing the German guy at the Danish warm-up with his vampires, and I thought, oh my God, why has nobody ever done that before? Why have people not played like that? And it was simple things, and I can't really describe it on the show, but it was the way he used his redirectors he managed to place a Terrorgeist in the middle of my army when nothing could countercharge it. And it's just, when you see it written down on paper, you think, oh, okay, well, that's fairly simple. But it's just having the foresight to do it. And it's probably experience, a lot of it. He's played that for a lot of years. But those kind of things. And, that again, it comes down to playing against people that at that moment in time are really at the top of their game.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I could name one best player, but I've certainly played people at the top of their own game over the years. And that's why I felt that, really. So I hope that answers your question, Wayne.
Okay.
You just wanted a one-word answer, didn't you? You just wanted me to name.
I was never going to get a one-word answer.
Yeah, Wayne Kemp. He's awesome.
Yeah. Liar. Okay, your most memorable moment in Warhammer?
Simple. A show was named after it, is all I'm going to say. The Frostblade incident. So I'm going to regale you with a story here. I'm going to get my slippers and my cigar and my pipe and tell you a little bit about a story that, if you haven't listened to this and you are a member of the Saucy, go back and listen to the show. It's obviously out of date now because it's 7th edition, but it's the principle remains the same. And I apologise if you've heard this a million times. What happened was, this is a cut down version of it. I was playing against a guy with vampires. Vampires were a tough one for me at that point, but I was all over him. I was thinking, this is going to be amazing. Going to school him up. Thanks for 20 points. I was already like halfway to lunch, not really thinking about it. And all he had left basically was a vampire lord and about 8 men, well in cruise control. And his vampire lord flies out the unit. I just park my, so he's coming for my slan. He's got 1 wound at this point or something. And I'm thinking, yeah, chuckle, this will be over. So I move my Ancient Stegard on, and I'm thinking an Engine of Gods in a line and the slan to the side of it, thinking that, and he's never going to go through that steg, so it'll be fine. And even if he's really lucky he does, he gets the other one, not a problem. Or it might have just been 1 steg, I can't remember. You'll have to listen back to the show to remember it. But so he charges him, it does 1 wound to me, and he says, I got the Frostblade. Well, what's that do? He's like, the Frostblade, if you take a wound, you die instantly. I was like, you what? Show me. And yeah, he killed the Ancient Stegadon, overran straight into the slan, killed the slan, dead. Switched the game back to some small win to him or something. But yeah, it's just memorable because it was just silly, really. And I think those do make memorable things. I probably wasn't very happy about it at the time. Might kick myself.
You weren't happy about it at the time, I remember. No. You shed many tears over that.
Yeah, but looking back on it, it was quite chuckle because that was at the time where I was very practiced with men. I literally used to go to tournaments thinking I can only lose if I play X, Y, or Z person and don't play very well, or and you can get to that standard if you've got a good army in that moment and you've been playing it a lot. It does you do feel like that, and that was a bit of being brought back down to earth. That was you're not as good as you think you are, or you're still prone to mucking up the same as everybody else. So yeah, that was really good. I like that one. So yeah, Frostblade, check it out if you haven't heard the episode.
Right, best tournament that you've ever been to?
Really, really tough over this period of time that we've been doing them. There's been a lot of memorable ones for different reasons. I mean, even I look at the recent Cardiff event I went to that listeners would have heard on this show, and I really enjoyed that. It was old school, drinking till silly times in the morning and just relaxing, not caring, whatever. That was really good. But I think overall, when I look back, I think when I get to my point where maybe my eyes are going and I'm a bit wobbly and, or I'm dead when I'm 60 something, whatever.
Can't look back when you're dead.
Yeah, but let's pretend that I haven't died at 60 or something from my eating habits.
You're not going to do some weird Scrooge thing on me. I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night and you're like rattling chains out the window.
Wayne,
I've just remembered.
Wayne, don't be like me in your life and you won't end up chained. Yeah, that'd be brilliant. We should do that as a show. Anyway,
we did do that as a show.
Yeah, I think we did. One of the Christmas specials. Yeah.
Anyway,
that'd be cool. I could just see that actually. Yeah, I could just see that. Anyway, where were we? So yeah, let's presume I'm not dead and I'm old and I've decided to give up Warhammer. When I look back on my time in the tournament scene and in the hobby as a whole, what would be my most memorable event? I would have to say the ETC. It gets a bit of bad press for sometimes the right reasons, but for a lot of wrong reasons. And when I think of all the people I've played, the people I've seen, and life experience, it's taken me to Switzerland, Serbia, Germany. What was the other one? Switzerland, Serbia, Germany, Poland. Places I wouldn't choose to visit. Poland and Serbia. Nothing against those countries, but it wouldn't be a holiday destination, would it? You get to experience that. Make acquaintances from all over the world who are into this hobby, and just see a different style of gaming. Lots of other reasons, I think, that a bit like you probably look back fondly on your American trips, and I'm adding that one to my list this year, for different reasons. And I think that it's just you get to experience the culture while you're there and things, and that's all part of it for me. So yeah, it'd have to be the ETC, I think.
Okay, for this year, what have you set yourself as a hobby or a gaming goal?
I don't know. This one's not necessarily for this year, but it's something that I haven't yet to achieve. I kind of would like to achieve, I suppose, but I don't know. At some point, I would like to have said I was UK number one. Now, I had 2 years of being third, and I put in a lot of time to do that. So whether it's realistic, because I think the time investment's massive, unless you really pick your tournaments and really know what you're doing and just attend. I mean, I like the other year I got in on the Masters with just doing 4 events, and I didn't really pick anything. It just happened to be the 4 events I went to around the ETC.
Yeah.
And again, if I probably will be applying for ETC this year, so if I did get in, then that would again hamper the ability. But I would at some point I'd like to say that I've done it. Rankings aren't everything, as we've talked about a lot of times, but it's just a nice thing to say, isn't it? So I think I'd have that one up there, and I'd also Brian the hobby killer likes to goad me about it, but I think you asked most Warhammer players what they'd like in their trophy cabinet, and it would be a Throne of Skulls trophy of some description. And having been to a Throne of Skulls and won all my games and not gone away with a trophy, because the way the format is these days, where it depends on your average over the rest of your race, I would like to at some point have won a Throne of Skulls. So those 2 things I think are still in my to-do list, Warhammer bucket list at some point. But whether I think the Throne of Skulls one's achievable. You just got to, the way the tournament runs, I think you've just got to go pick and get lucky with what you pick and hope that everyone else who takes that particular race is rubbish and you can win your games. But the UK number 1 thing, I think people don't really realise the effort required in terms of financial and attendance and making sure you've got the right army for the moment. You know, you look at Russ this year; he's gone back to number 1. He did a lot of events and with a new army that he had to put together in a short space of time to get it while it was hot, and that's a bit of a mission. So yeah, I don't know. I'd like to do those things at some point.
Okay, then lastly, if you had to pick one moment over the expanse of the last 100 shows, what would be the standout moment for you?
Of Heelanhammer, I don't know. There's so many. I think that we could do the old soppy type answer of, well, every show's its own moment. You know, that kind of thing. We've had so many great moments of you and I caning each other basically and abusing each other, which has been quite entertaining. But I don't really know. You know,
it's tricky, isn't it? It's a hard one.
I mean, memorable moments. I remember, to be honest, I think as a podcaster, I think for me the most memorable moments are sometimes the negative things. I think I can think back to one particular thing where I really considered whether I wanted to do this, and that was around some negativity directed at the show about a topic or something. You know, there's things sometimes stick in your head for the wrong reason, but it's always been good. And I think my most memorable moments have always been when and they occur not super regularly, but when they do occur, each one of those is a memorable moment, and that's when somebody out of the blue that either or just completely out of the blue comes and they give you decent feedback. You know, you get an email that arrives in your inbox, or you hear somebody. The one I like is when sometimes you Google. I quite often Google the show just to see what people are saying, or see if there's comments somewhere about the show. And you know, when you find a new comment that someone's put that's favourable to you, all those kind of things are very memorable. I know there was one that I always strive to try and keep the show fresh and make it better. And I remember Googling and one particular topic come up, and it was called Heelanhammer Bores Me Stupid. And oddly enough, I think it keeps popping up on Google quite frequently. Don't click on it if it comes up. There's those people there now Googling away. I'm going to find this. And it was when we got into, not a rut, but we were into a bit where we were getting a lot of good feedback about you and I just rambling about Warhammer, which is kind of what we're doing now, ironically enough. And it was in a point where we didn't have segments. We were just doing that a lot, really, and just talking about what we're up to. And a lot of people enjoyed it. Clearly, this guy didn't. And I remember writing to him, actually, and saying, you know, just give me some feedback on what you think we can do. And I have a feeling he might be one of the people that suggested some sort of segment. So all good things come from that. But, you know, those kind of things always stick in my mind. So I've not really got one, but those kind of things would be it, I would say. And with that, the most obvious one is when we go to events. I'm sure when we go to America, we'll meet a ton of new people that we haven't seen. And it always feels like they know us and we've never seen them before. So that's always good. Yeah,
it is a strange one. We've talked about before, when you kind of like they you know, listeners have almost got a relationship with us where we kind of like, you know, we haven't with them until we meet them. So I mean, America, I'm really looking forward to that this year. It's going to be brilliant.
I'll highlight of the year, I'm sure. Definitely. Good. I think that's me done. So I suppose we better get on with some guests, Wayne.
Yes.
Cool. On to our first guest. Okay, so on to our first guest, superstar DJ Ben Curry. How's it going?
DJ, eh?
I don't know where that came from,
guys.
Yeah, that's all right.
Congratulations on making 100.
Yeah, no, thanks. It's It shot up. I was actually just before you came on to talk to us. We were looking at the date, and it was the 23rd of May 2009. We started our first episode went out. So there you go. Flies by, doesn't it?
Yeah,
As
it
you
does.
know.
That was just we started in the Feb of, was it the Feb or the Jan of the same? Yeah, so we've been going quite a while.
Yeah, it flies by. Although we had a break, you've been hardcore, but yeah, it is amazing how it flies by. So no, cheers for that, and thanks for popping on this very special occasion to answer some questions for us. So I'm going to get straight in there. I'm conscious this show's going to go on for a while. So our first question was, what is your favourite unit in the game and why?
Now, there's probably going to be a theme through this, as anyone who knows me will probably know. But favourite unit's the Dark Elf Pegasus Master, just because he's cool. They don't actually do a model for him. So I've got like 4 or 5 different versions, and every time I build a new one, it's really fun to build another style of Pegasus and Rider. The latest one I'm working on is actually the plastic Shadowblade model on the back of a Game Zone Cold one. So, each time I do it, it's fun to build something different. And then in the game as well, they're just awesome. They got the 1-up save. You can give them tons of different kit. You got the Cloak of Twilight, which is the new Broken. Previous edition, it was the Pendant. And even if you run multiples of them, there's still lots of other options you can do with them. Lots of different kit you can give them. In the game, you can send them off on their own, do the solo thing. You can put them in your unit. You can use them to block up space in the front of the unit, or you can just use them as a whatever. There's tons of things you can do with them. Dead flexible, dead fun to use. So yeah, it's the Dark Elf Pegmaster.
Good. I'm happy with that one.
I had a particularly frustrating game against that, didn't I, Ben, with my Rat Ogres? Literally had a whole game, weren't they? I should have killed that thing about 5 times over. Kept making them saves.
Talked about it on a recent show. You didn't mention our game, but you sort of mentioned Rat Ogres and mentioned the Pendant in sort of the same sentence.
Yeah, it just stayed there, didn't it? They just hacking away at each other. Yeah,
definitely.
Until eventually all the Rat Ogres died.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think those memories are always good. We'll talk about that, things like that as we go through, actually, because there's something that always brings to mind with this. No, I think that's a great one. Question 2. Fast and Furious. If you had to play only one army ever, what would it be and why? I think I probably know the answer, but I'll let you answer.
Dark Elves, and it's kind of for the same reasons as the Pegmaster. They were really flexible. They're really fun to use. The fluff and the background on them is really cool. The Malekith storyline is like one of the main storylines in the whole of Warhammer. He was there at the beginning of Warhammer. He's still going now. There's no other character that's survived that long, I don't think. There might be 1 or 2, but there's not many. Then on the gaming terms, they've gone from being the underdog and rubbish to being the best thing out there to starting to tail off at the end of the last edition and going a bit rubbish again. And then back again now, they're brand new and shiny. I think they're going to be pretty awesome again. So it's up and down, and they've always been fun along the way at both ends. So, yeah, Dark Elves.
Yeah, like I say, long-term Dark Elf players will remember the highs and the lows, I'm sure. Quite a few lows, I would have thought, before they become super awesome in 7th edition. So
yeah, I remember long, in-depth discussions of whether the 6th or 7th Harpy's worth the points. And, it's that was what it came down to. When your list was so bad, you had to optimise everything. It's not quite so important nowadays because everything's pretty good.
No, I think I agree with that. I think that's probably indicative of 8th edition. So, good. Okay, I think most people who know you knew that answer to that one, I'm sure. How did you lose your last game? That you lost. How did you?
Good question. This one.
It is. I don't know where I got it from. I think it might have been some superstar podcast who lent me a list of questions to choose from. But we should say that actually. So,
Mr. Andy Potter is the one who came up with this. He sent it in to me. Yeah. So credit where it's due to Andy.
Yeah.
But no, it is a good question. I like this one because it makes people look at, you obviously lost your last game. You can moan about, your cannon's not working and your opponent's doing all the work, all you like, and you'll never learn anything. But if you look at what happened in the game and why you lost it's a good way of learning. And last game I lost was actually at, in fact, I lost 2 in a row. It was at Bjorn Supremacy, and basically it was because I was rusty, out of practice, hadn't been sharp enough. I lost to Sedge just because I read a rule wrong or didn't think of a rule right, made a wrong decision based on that. And then the game after that, which was the last one I lost, was against Pash. And basically he had a better army than me, and I knew I needed to either force a mistake or wait for a mistake and capitalise. And he didn't make any really. So when I took risks to try and push a mistake and chasing, throwing bad after bad, it just escalated, and he didn't make any mistakes and hammered me for it. So the main reason was, I thought I was up against it and tried to throw more, throw bad after bad, and it got worse, and that was the reason I lost.
Sounds like most of my games.
That is kind of how you roll.
Right. That's how I play.
You just keep poking.
You just keep chucking it in.
Yeah. Hoping something will stick. You just keep chucking stuff. Yeah. Good. No, I like that one. I think that's. I think, as you say, it's a great question because you always look. It just makes you look back and see what the real reason was. Not necessarily just dice. The odd game can be lost on purely on dice, but very rarely is it just dice. I think so. Good. Okay. Following on with that, then, who is the best player you've ever faced and why? And what was so good about them?
See, I've got two for this because the first one I don't actually know the guy's name. I played a guy. It was years ago, and it was when I was sort of up and coming on the tournament scene. I was playing my Wood Elves, and I played this Italian guy at the Games Workshop GT Heat, and I don't know his name, which is odd because I know a lot of the Italians who travel over, so I just can't remember this chap's name. He played Tomb Kings, and what it was, after the game, I felt everything I did in the game, and I thought I'd played it really well. He had a counter two, and he just knew the matchup better than me. And it was one of those situations where it was just no matter what I did, he had the answer with what I saw as being a weaker army. At the time, Wood Elves were king of the hill, and
especially against Tomb Kings, yeah.
Yeah, and it was one of those matches where a lot of the poor Tomb King players would say it's a horrendous match, they can't beat Tomb Kings. But I know at the time Asger was saying he loves that matchup with his Tomb Kings. He always beats the Wood Elves, and I'd never seen why. And then I played this guy, and it was like, I could see why. It was. He used his troops in the right way, and it was the softer troops, underpowered troops, just played right and put to the right use. And he beat me in that game. And afterwards, I wasn't moaning about dice, I wasn't moaning about anything. It was just like, well, he played it better than me and knew the matchup better and did all the right things. So, but I don't know his name, and it was a long time ago. I think it was the 2007 or maybe 2008 Heats. So some years ago.
And do you think he was just well practiced and with that particular army? Do you think it was something he played a lot?
Yeah, I think he was. He was a Tomb King player, and he obviously knows if you're playing an army like that and you've got a severe bad matchup, then if you practice it and you know your game plan against it, you should be fine. And it's true, really. There are some bad matchups, but if you play it to death and you've played it, you played that matchup 20 times, your opponent's only played it one. It doesn't matter how good it is on paper. It's always going to be the player that makes the difference.
I agree. Big believer in that one. Good. And what was your second one?
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit of I know I'll probably get some stick for not really naming any names when there's tons of people I could shout out to. So, I mean, of the current crop, certainly like looking at the top 16, the rankings this year, I think Ben Johnson, he's been solid. For as long as I've known him, he's been good. And he's had his ups and his downs depending on what armies he's played and how keen he's been at the time. He had a break from the ETC for a while and played some more Funhammer, that odd thing that people do now and again.
In the tournament off season, reinvent ourselves.
That's it, definitely. But certainly I think Ben's one of the top players out there that I've played. Good.
And was there anything particular reason, or you say just consistency over the years?
Just consistency, and with a whole bunch of different armies as well. It's not just one army. I've played Dark Elves over the years. Not surprised that I've been good with them because I've played hundreds and hundreds of games with him. But when Ben's got tournament awards with, he played his Orcs and Goblins, Skaven, he's on Demons now, he's had Empire, he's played Warriors of Chaos during that time as well. He's played Dark Elves as well during that time. Yeah. I remember playing off against him at the Mersey Meltdown, not the Mersey Meltdown, it'd been the Teesside Tear Up, and me and Ben used an identical Dark Elf list on the top tables playing for the tournament, and that was years ago. And he does it consistently with lots of different books, and I think that's the sign of a top player. Not necessarily, I mean, Jack's done amazing with his 400, but he's only played a Lizardmen. If he starts to do the same sort of thing with a lot of different races, then that's where you can really show your talent, I think.
And that's, we should say for the listeners who don't know, that's Jack Armstrong, who's the UK ranking supremo, really. That's the best way of doing it. Yeah.
And
400 points, yeah.
Don't take anything away from Jack. He's an awesome player, really is. But, I'd definitely tip Ben above him.
Good. Okay, I like it. That's the kind of stuff we like on this show. So, What is your most memorable Warhammer moment in game?
Okay, so you know how you always talk about these combos, and there's like Enfeebling Foe and Dwellers, pretty epic, or Miasma and Purple Sun, it's pretty epic as well. The best one of these is, or was, Curse of the Leper. So if you drop someone's strength and you Curse of the Leper them, you can take the whole unit off without rolling any dice. Yeah. It's quite cool.
I suppose that spell doesn't exist anymore, does it? But it used to.
Doesn't exist anymore.
When your strength got to 0?
Yeah, if your strength got to 0 or your toughness got to 0, you died. Now, I had a big block of Dark Elf Warriors, 35-ish, 3 assassins in there. Something tells me I had a wizard or 2 in there as well. And I was playing Yavor, who people might know from the UK scene. He's part of Team Bulgaria for the ETC, but he lives in the UK, plays Warriors of Chaos. He chucks Curse of the Leper, and I'm like, well, I'll let it off. I've got 6 dice. He's only got 2 dice left to roll 2 6s with, casting Enfeebling Foe, and roll his 2 that he needed on his D3 and take all the warriors and the assassins off, and we both just stood there laughing. He looked at me as if expecting me to flip, and I just started laughing. It was pretty epic, and that's what you see the dice on the table, throw them at it. Don't risk the 2 6s coming out a second later. But he'd rolled pretty high on the first one, and I didn't want to risk not hitting the casting value, so. Yeah, you play the odds, but that was a pretty memorable moment.
Nice, I like that one. I like that one's good. What was your favourite What was your favourite event you attended, and why?
It's definitely ETC. I've been up to a lot of events, and I've travelled to a few different countries for those as well. But ETC is certainly the best one. It's just the team aspect, not just the gaming side, just the away from the table, meeting new people from all around the world. So the first year we went in Italy, that was 2008. That was pretty special. We met a whole bunch of new people, particularly the Norwegian guys. They were awesome. Just an amazing time. And Germany, the first year in Germany, so that had been 2009. That was a pretty special year as well. And I think that was the first year we did the Ashes as well with the Aussies. So awesome time. ETC is definitely the best event I've been to.
Excellent. Can see why. I haven't been there myself. Yeah, it's great. What is your gaming or hobby goal that you've yet to achieve?
So it's going to be a painting one, oddly enough, because I'm not known for painting really. And I think that's why it's a goal that I've got. I'd like to paint an army to the best standard I can and win an award for it. I've got a painting award on my shelf. What Wayne might have thought he should have had.
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
I got to just tell a story about this, right? Yeah. It was really funny, right? Because he looked over and he just laughed in my face, right? There's no grace about it whatsoever, right? He just I don't think he'd realised I had the Mulder army and the Green army. The army that I took was half and half of each, right? So I knew I wasn't in the painting anyway because it was like 2 completely different armies smashed together. And I don't think you realised that, Ben, because you were laughing at me. And I went, I've got 2 armies here.
My army was terrible, and I had this big dragon.
But it was consistent.
The guys let the wives pick, and someone went, I like the dragon, give it him. And I was shocked, and it was just a travesty, really, but it was funny. And I do like that trophy. Yeah. But my goal is to, eventually paint a decent army and try and win a painting award. My Chaos Dwarfs, I've blown my own trumpet a bit, but they're the best I've done so far. But I'm only halfway through, so if I can keep them up, eventually I might get the Chaos Dwarfs out, and hopefully I might have a chance. You have to pick and choose your events. I remember back in the day when Matt Oakley and Tim Fisher and all the others were painting really. I don't know if you were on the scene at that time, Wayne.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I remember
Matt, as well. That was when I was first getting into it, and there's some really great armies. And I remember people saying you need to kind of choose your event to unleash a new army rather than, I think Chris Oliver as well with his Bretonians, and you needed to pick and choose. It was really tight for the painting. And it's getting that way again nowadays.
We were talking about that with Steve Wren.
Really great army.
We said about the South
definitely.
Coast, if he'd gone to any other event other than the South Coast this year, he would have probably walked best painted. But some dude from America turns up and schools it. Yeah. So,
I might pick a few one dayers and turn up with me army and hopefully have a stab at getting some painting awards. That'd be nice.
You never know. By the time you finished it, it might actually be a real army, Chaos Dwarfs. And
See, I resisted the urge to say that, but you just dived in.
Mate, I never sit on the fence on this show.
Yeah, right.
I'm right there, both feet. Good. I like that one. That was good. What is your favourite or most memorable Heelanhammer saying then? Let's get on to some show stuff here. So what's your most favourite or memorable Heelanhammer saying, catchphrase, quirky topic, repeat, whatever you fancy?
I like Rule of the Week because what it was I'd do a daily show, and then about a month or so later, I'd listen to Heelanhammer, and I'd just get a refresher of the show I've just done. Where you guys have just, rinsed and repeated it on Heelanhammer, so it's quite cool for that.
Oh, good.
No, seriously. Yeah. I do like Rule of the Week.
That was like a really polite dig, wasn't it?
Yeah. I've been picking that one up all day.
The thing is, it's a fun section, the Rule of the Week, because I know me and Dan obviously talk a lot, and we would try and dodge doing the same sort of thing. If I hear that you guys have done one topic, I'd try and steer away from that, and I'm sure you guys did the same. If you know I'd done a version of it, you'd try and pick a different one. But you haven't done a Rule of the Week for a while, and I'm wondering if it's just there's only so many rules you can pick on and focus on in 15 minutes. But I'd like to see you guys have another stab at bringing that one back.
Yeah, I think it was mainly because we a lot of the time with the rules, I find it like a bit of a sad area of the hobby sometimes, and it prompted a lot of people just emailing because they disagreed or with some of the rules, and it never sort of radiated positivity, that one. So
pick a different rule. You don't need to pick a controversial gamey rule. You can pick something simple like something to do with the shooting rules and target priority or something
specific that's a bit misunderstood by. I've actually got one actually. We could talk about someone sent me an email about something which I just thought was a load of, but obviously
you'll get an email.
Yeah.
You're in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good. Well, I think what we'll do is I'll listen to Ben's next daily and just tag it on.
Sounds good.
Good.
We'll wait a month though, yeah?
Yeah. Obviously.
That's it.
See what feedback he gets, see if it's worth doing. So who is your favourite host or guest on Heelanhammer over the last, for best part of 4 years coming up? And who would you like to hear more from?
So you had a guy called Carol from the Polish ETC team on. Yes. I don't know if it was on Heelanhammer or if it was on the Saucy. But I really like that show.
Yeah.
A couple of reasons why I liked it. First off was I got to hear about another gaming culture, so Poland, how they do things. I got to hear from a top player, so he's one of the top Skaven players. He scored highly at ETC, been to ETC for a number of years. And also, from what I remember, he was a Skaven player. Like I'm a Dark Elf player. Wayne's a Skaven player. I think Carol was a Skaven player as well. He didn't just play the army because it was ETC or play it because it was a power book. That was his army. He just played that. He played a lot of games with it. Also, at the time, you were playing Skaven as well, Dan. So it was good to hear you bouncing ideas off each other and, you picking up ideas from him and that sort of thing. So it had a good dynamic. I could go out tomorrow, I could interview a Beastman player, and he could be the best Beastman player in the world. But with me not having no experience with that army, it'd be difficult for me to get the best from the interview, I think. So I know it's hard to get some good guests in for armies you're playing, but I'd certainly like to hear more of that. What are you playing at the moment? Vampires? Vampire counts? So
yeah.
Maybe
people are, but yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Maybe getting another vampire player in and having a discussion on the army and, tips and tricks between each other and comparing ideas.
Sounds good to me. I like it. I know we've got we keep talking about it, but in February-ish, I'm hoping, doing the Empire Army review finally, which we're going to get some decent guests for, so I'm looking forward to that one.
We're in the same boat. We've got the High Elf one coming up, and we've got Pash, who's playing at the Masters on the cards for that one. And I might try and rope Tom Maudsley in for it as well and get a bit of a round table on High Elves. Yeah,
I always think that's a good dynamic. You got a guy who plays it for faux life. He is a High Elf player, and you got a guy who's a netlist. No, I'm joking. Tom, he
no, but it's true, isn't it?
Yeah, he's picked him up recently to play. Yeah,
you get someone who's in it because they're a High Elf player, and you get someone who's in it because they're a power gamer or whatever term you want to give them. And it's a nice dynamic, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Good, I look forward to that one. And finally then, what was your most memorable Heelanhammer moment over the last few years?
Episode 93. I'll leave it to the listeners to go back and check that one out and see what I'm talking about for that one. I'll leave it at that.
I have a feeling I know what that is. Okay, yeah. Good. Okay, yeah, we'll leave that one there. Good. Okay.
That's just dawned on me what that one was. Sorry. Sorry, it took a while to catch up there.
Yeah.
I do that to Dave Witek as well. I always say to him, check out Garage Hammer and you can listen to the Dark Elf review.
Yeah. Good. I like it. And okay, finally then, ready.
Bonus question.
Yeah, the bonus question. So we got an interview following you literally straight away. What question have you got for this person?
So this was when I started doing quite a few interviews. I was told this as a good question to ask people. and just depending on who you're asking it to, they take it one way or the other. So the one I like is asking the person you're interviewing, what question should I have asked you? Now I've got the chance to ask you some questions.
Nice.
So that's quite a cool one. I like that.
Good. Well, what question should we have asked you?
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, I've done some play testing in the past.
Yeah.
You could have asked me what the next army book is, but since you didn't ask, I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, see, yeah,
like you would.
yeah.
Like
Don't toy with us.
Yeah. It just waits till his name's in the front of the book and just point it out. Yeah. Oh yeah, I did that one. I remember. Yeah, excellent. Well, thanks for coming on, mate. I appreciate that, and I'm sure
a lot of fun.
I'm sure the listeners have enjoyed it, and I'm sure over the future of the podcast, you will appear again at some point.
Yeah, I hope so, definitely, and we'll catch up with you at Sheffield.
Yes, you will. You will. I'll see you shortly. Cheers,
Take
mate.
care, mate.
Guys. Bye.
Okay, so next person up to the plate. He's been on here a few times before. It is. Are you still UK number one?
Yep.
UK number one, Russville. Hello, mate. How's it going?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. You forgot to add, Warhammer Player of the Year.
Of course. Yeah, we should say about this. Wayne won't. No, Wayne
I love
doesn't.
this. I love this. You forgot to say.
No, Wayne doesn't know about this because he doesn't listen to the wide world of podcasts. But
No.
we should have asked Ben when he was on a minute ago.
What's all this then?
But Bad Dice Podcast held a little vote on different categories. They did like a Warhammer Personality of the Year type thing.
Yep.
Russ was the winner of Player of the Year.
Oh,
for his performance
congratulations,
this year.
Russ.
Whoop, yeah. And
Thanks, yeah.
we won a small award as well.
Did we?
We won Podcast of the Year. So there you go.
And let's not forget, Best Event of the Year.
Oh, while we're here, all three of us, big electronic hug here, ego hug.
Is it
We won
the South Coast GT?
Yeah, best event of the year.
Well, yeah, it's official.
Just
Then.
remember,
We are
listeners,
awesome.
We are awesome.
So-
That's just the
just-
message.
that's it.
Right now.
It can only get better from here. So that was obviously good. So I did think about doing an acceptance speech and stuff, but the 52 people that voted, I didn't.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think so.
52.
No,
Nothing to get excited about then.
no, but we appreciate it all the same. It's always nice. So is that our first award? Official award? Must be.
Yeah.
We'll take them all. They all count. It's like wooden spoons. Right. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Russ, what is your favourite unit in the game and why?
If you mean in the game like right now, then I would have to say it's probably Plague Drones, just from a rules point of view, because they are just the best thing in the Demon Book. They just can deliver combat power wherever you need it. They've got such a big threat range, you can't put chaff units in front of them. Yeah, just fantastic. Fantastic unit.
Okay, so if you had to play one army, only one army forever, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's really hard. I don't think I could do it because Games Workshop don't update the books enough. But it would have to be an undead or a chaos army, and I think right now it would be Tomb Kings. I'm just quite excited about them again, and back in the day I played them pretty much exclusively for 3 years. So yeah, I'll say Tomb Kings.
Good. I like it. And that's, I think, that as long as I've known you, you've played either undead or something along those lines. So that's not a surprise. So number 3, how did you lose the last game you lost?
Well, there was this magic item. Is this a trick question? You've done this.
No, I haven't. I was told
so,
this was this question was actually provided to us by Ben Curry from the Bad Dice Podcast, who got it off of a man Andy Potter. So there you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was it directed at me specifically?
No. I think this was something Ben been collating. So go for it.
Well, I was playing a Bretonnian army with my demons of chaos, and I had quite a lot of flying units, and he sort of mitched his army forward, and for people who don't know, mitch means push it across the board.
Quick as you can with no care.
And then I got onto my he goes, yeah, I'm going to sound the sky horn or something. I can't remember the name of the item now. I'm going to sound this horn. I was like, yeah, what's that do? You can't fly? I was like, oh rubbish. What's my ground movement? Oh, 1. Brilliant. And then I basically had both my drone units charged, and then he got all his combat buffs off. I just got battered basically. I couldn't pull it back. I was out of position. My Furies that normally redirect were behind my army, but obviously can't fly, so they couldn't get in the way. I didn't have my beasts in the correct position. I didn't have many because of the sort of the list I wrote, so I was kind of a bit of a struggling with that. So yeah, that's how I lost that game, not knowing the obscure Bretonnian magic item that I've never seen. Whenever I've played Bretonnians, no one's ever used it. which stops you flying, which turns out is a big deal with a demon army that's full of 5 flying units that have got right ground movement.
Nice, I like it. And funny enough, you say that Ben, who was on previously, that's what he cited as one of his losses recently was being rusty and reading a rule wrong. It's a similar type thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, shows you anybody at any level can get caught out. So that's good.
Knowledge is power.
It is. So who is the best player you've ever faced and why? What was it about them?
Oh, very difficult. I think I'm not going to say like who I think's the best right now, because I can't pick myself. No.
Smooth.
No, I'm kidding.
I expected that from Ben Curry, not from you. Yeah.
I've never played myself,
Yeah.
But what I mean is, probably back in 7th edition, I would say Michael Biggs. Although I think I've never lost to him, I always felt that he had such a good knowledge of every book, and he would often talk through his decisions on the game, which is obviously not brilliant because you're sort of telegraphing what you're doing. But the point is, he had such a good understanding of the game, and when he was on form and he was in the scene, because he's not really playing at the moment, so he's not. When he turns up to an event, he kind of does sort of average, and he always tries weird, different lists. But I think back in the day when he was on form, he was it was always a good guy to play. So it wasn't just his ability, but he was a good guy to play. He was fair with the rules, and he did well. And I just think that's the three pillars really. Everything you want to see from a player. Definitely,
I like it, and I think that's a good point. I mean, he was quite a regular opponent for me at one point because of geographically a girl he was seeing, and I certainly found like it was a tough game every time you played. You know, his knowledge of the rules and, like you say, combos and just general knowledge was on the game was fantastic. So yeah, I understand that completely. Good. What is your most memorable Warhammer moment in game then, apart from throwing your army away against the Falcon Horn of Sigmund?
I didn't throw it away. I just lost.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Depends which side of the table you are.
I'm not going to get another face rumour started on this show. I think probably the most memorable, it's not really a moment, but it's more like a game, was when I took Warriors to the GT final, and I was on 5 wins. And then on the last round, I was playing Adam Hall with his Thoric Dwarf army, and I was using my Zinch caster on disc sort of Warriors list. And it wasn't a particularly really, really good list, but it was basically I rushed him. He shot off probably about 60% of my army, and then I gatewayed Thoric, and it ended up in a complete bloodbath. And on the last turn, it was you got 100 VPs for table quarters, and he had a unit of crossbowmen in a table quarter, and I went to gateway them. Double one to the spell, which then means you miscast. Double one the miscast, and took my level 4 off, which cost me the game, but it meant it was a draw. It would have been a draw anyway, but if I would have killed them, it would have been a win to me.
Yeah.
And that would have put me on a podium and got me one of those nice Throne of Skulls trophies, which I've not had.
No.
And that was a memorable game because I remember adding up the VPs. There's a lot of people around, and added up, and I thought I had lost by like 3 victory points. So I added it up again, and actually I just added it wrong under the pressure, and and that was Adam, actually, my opponent, saying just add it up again just to make sure. So I did, and then since then I always double check everything. But that was probably the most memorable game because it was such high stakes in a way, but it was also a fun game because I like Adam. I played Adam a lot, and we kind of had a really good game, even though we were up on the top table. Like that sort of environment. So yeah,
brilliant. Always a good one. And against dwarfs and Thoric. There you go.
Yeah.
There's one to turn up.
I've
for
played
the
Adam a few times. He's a really good lad, isn't he?
Yeah.
You just say memorable, not favourite game.
No, that's it. Yeah. Touche. What is your favourite event you've attended and why?
Again, this is very difficult. I mean, you could go back to. I could say the first time I ever went to a tournament, with a minibus of guys. But this is going to sound a bit, I don't know, maybe a little bit over the top, but actually my favourite event was the first year we ran the South Coast, even though I didn't play, and it was more to the fact that it was kind of exciting and a little bit scary. And then when you're there and you're going round and that, it was just a great feeling. So yeah, I know that sounds a little bit like sort of blowing your own trumpet, but it's not. It was more the fact that how it made me feel to have that many gamers together playing that event, and it ran really smoothly, and the work that, especially what you put in, but we put in together as a team, it just felt a really good environment, and it really
it's pulling it off, isn't it? It's that whole day, innit, when you realise that you've actually pulled it off and it's everything's going smooth and
it's maybe your unfortunate choice of words, but yeah.
Well, you know what I mean.
But yeah, it's that I always find that after literally round one starts, it's like, okay, we're here, and it is nice to walk around and just socialise and watch Warhammer. I love watching Warhammer.
Yeah, it's really good as well because it always gets me excited about doing an army, because you get to go around and see what other people are doing, and you get to backseat war game a little bit in your head. We like to get on the old walkie-talkie and sort of go, have you seen what's happening on this table and stuff? So yeah, it's definitely my favourite event, in the fact that because I'm not playing and I'm refereeing and we're part of the running, it's different. So it's my favourite event. Does that make sense?
Good. No, it does make sense. So what is your, this would be interesting for you actually, what is your gaming or hobby goal that you've yet to achieve? And you've achieved quite a few, so.
Yeah, well, I normally, I do actually every year in my head set myself a little target or something to work towards, because it just kind of focuses my hobby a little bit, because I'm I'm one of these people that wants to always try and achieve something, like whatever I'm doing, whether it's a new army or it's a gaming goal. So although I've never won the Masters, I've never, and again, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I never go to the Masters to try and win it. I don't. I always treated the Masters as a practice event against good players with a new list. So traditionally, I'd paint a new army, go to the Masters, try the new army out, and that sets me up for the next tournament year. But my goal this year is to win an event or podium with a big event with Tomb Kings.
Cool.
So that's my goal this year at the moment.
Sounds good to me. I think it's a good one.
They've ever podiumed at a big event?
No, I'm just trying to
think.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. Not in 8th edition.
Certainly not a big. I
think the last person who podiumed with Tomb Kings was AD, wasn't it? AD Max.
No, I think there was a guy when, I think it might have been Winter Incursion. It was like when the book first came out. There was a guy and he came. I think he might have come third. But he was. I can't remember his name, but it was a mate of Josh Dutton, who I played with Demons.
I do remember that. Yeah, a Winter Incursion that was. Yeah, he had
I think that he come third in there, but I can't remember. But that was that must have been 2 years ago.
Yeah,
2000.
But yeah, I can't recall anything on like a big event recently. No. So no, I know what you're saying. I mean, Sheffield would be a good one if you're.
I was saying in a big event. I think the last person I can remember was AD Mack, and that was like 7th edition, halfway through 7th edition.
Yeah,
but he was really good with them back then. But I think that's not taking into account all these little events that are going on. But I think that's the only one I can remember.
Good. Yeah, I like that one. I think that's a good call. That, and it's not, the thing is as well, you're not picking something like Beastmen. I think if you're saying Wood Elves or Beastmen, I don't think there's a massive shout for doing it. But Tomb Kings, there's, I think, really well played with a bit of luck on your side. They're good. So
I think the meta's shifted enough now, because back when I was playing them originally, when you had all the 7th edition books out, I just don't think it was possible to do particularly well if you got certain matchups. But I think now, because so many of the books have updated, they're actually a little bit stronger than they used to be. But
good. Well, we'll see. We'll review this next year. So yeah, good. What's your most favourable? Talking of the show now, what is your most favourite or most memorable Heelanhammer saying, catchphrase, quirky topic?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you're going to edit this, but my favourite one was the just dip it. Because I think that's what I said on the second show when I was at your house doing it.
I can't remember that.
When you put it into your intro, I sort of said to you, I said, I don't remember that being on the show. Or you said you recorded it separately and cut it in, so it wasn't actually an excerpt from the show.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm pretty sure I said that when do you remember when I come round and we did I was the only the main show that I've been on, I think, because of the quality over Skype, you prefer to have people sat in the house doing it. So I think that was the one time I've been on the main show.
Oh, well, there you go. We'll have to have a look. We'll have
There you go.
There
So
you
you
go,
have
listeners.
to look into that.
Saucy members who've got access to the Heelanhammer archive will have to check it. I think it was you must be referring to a Portsmouth pillage show. I think from many moons ago, 2009.
Yeah, I
somewhere,
think
so.
it was one of the first ones. It was like 2 or 3, one of the early ones. So
Good. Someone could check that out for sure. It must have been. Yeah, I reckon it's probably 4, 5, 6, something along those lines. So good. Okay. Who has been your favourite host or guest on Heelanhammer over the episodes, and who would you like to hear more from?
well, me of course. I mean,
Obviously.
obviously it's me. No, I actually think, in all seriousness, I mean, without you, there wouldn't be a show. So you got to give yourself credit.
Hold
in
on.
terms of
My arm's breaking from patting myself so hard on the back.
I was going to say, you do enough of that.
Yeah.
I was going to say Wayne just to wind you up. Actually, I thought I better not. I bet everyone's going, Wayne.
Yeah. The
Just
fate.
so to show that you don't,
Long-term
that
listeners will
hobby,
remember the Kemp Hammer show, wasn't it? There was a show we
Oh,
called Kemp Hammer.
awesome.
Yeah.
It was fine until Wayne had to do the intro. Then he was like,
Yeah, I
"This is
think it
hard."
came quite apparent that we're in the right seats. You know what I mean? When I had to do the intro, I was like, no, I'm not comfortable with this at all.
The funny thing is, you've actually got a more expensive seat than me. Mine's old and got holes in. Yours is like brand new.
Yeah, but I
Thanks to
spent the
listeners.
first 2 years sitting on a box.
Yeah, I suppose so. You've done your time. It's like a pension.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, I like it. And what was your most memorable Heelanhammer moment over the years?
Now this might be a little bit cheating, but this is actually when we won the Polish Sausage event as the Heelanhammer All Stars.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And
Yeah.
that was, Brian, Al, myself, and you. And obviously, Wayne wasn't there, but
You would have lost if I was there.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to go down that route.
Well-
I don't think Rat Ogres would have made the cut. That's all I'm saying.
I don't always take rat ogres.
Yeah, you do.
I don't
Come
think it
on.
really mattered what I took. You still would have lost if I was part of the team.
Probably true. But I think that was a really good event. I mean, obviously we've done ETC and team events and stuff, but I think it was a really good bonding experience, especially when in the last round it was Al and Brian that got the points, and me and you kind of didn't get any point. And it made, I know that Brian was having a tough weekend because he was saying, I'm just he's got this really quirky Organ Goblin army. He's losing points, but he's kind of taken the bad match, and as you know from the ETC, that's not a very nice position to be in. And I think that was really good, and just being together and on stage and getting, that's probably, normally I get to go up for a trophy or something. I don't normally feel that buzz about it. It's just kind of, I got a trophy, okay. But that did feel really good. I don't know why. It was. So
I think it's good because, like you say, it was all like lots of little groups of mates competing for something, and that there is a different sense. And I don't even think you get that with the ETC because, although we know a lot of people over the last sort of 4 years are doing it, you still don't have that. It's not the same as playing with a lot of people that you see regularly on the tournament scene. It's kind of like a best of the group best, isn't it? I don't know. It's weird to explain.
we could say best of the best then, and we have to go off like fighting or something.
Yeah, that's it. But no, sort of.
Martial art film.
Yeah, it's a hard one to explain, but no, I can see that. And like you say, it is a bit cheating, but I'll let you have that one, so it's good. Good. Okay, and finally, a question from our previous guest, Mr. Curry. The question is, what question, now I've asked you a load of questions, what question should I have asked you that I didn't?
Okay, maybe the question you should have asked me is, what question would you have asked me if you shouldn't have asked me? I know I've lost it now. No, I don't know. I think the question you didn't ask me that I think would have been good is to say what makes your event the best. What makes our event, because it's coming from you, the best, voted the best. Because I think Ben Curry wants to know what he can do to make his event better next year.
Oh, fair enough. Excellent. Okay, I'll be sure to ask him. Or yeah.
Well, maybe I know it doesn't work that way. I'm not going to throw the question back at him.
Yeah, I don't know. It's this weird parallel paradox thing, like Doctor Who.
I thought the world might end.
Yeah, we'll have to phone him
So
back.
what question are you going to throw up?
Oh
to the
yeah,
next
so
person?
we need a question for our next person, which I'm guessing is probably going to be Chris Tomlin from the Black Sun, maybe. I'm not sure. It depends on how
is it?
our
Okay,
our
this
schedule
is probably quite appropriate for him.
Yeah.
Can't put that out.
I'm afraid you're family friendly here.
I'm kidding.
He's gone.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Well, as it's Chris Tomlin, I would say to him that probably the question I'd like him to answer is why wasn't I invited to go to Waipaco? That's what I want to know.
I'll ask him.
Where's my invite?
I shall ask him and find out for you, mate. There we go.
Yeah.
We always ask the hard-hitting questions on this show, so
Either that, or you could ask me Marmite, yes or no. I don't know.
yeah. Okay, I'll go with both. You can have an extra question. You've earned
That's
it.
fine. Yeah,
You earned it.
that's your number one. It's your privilege.
Exactly. Good. Okay, well, cheers for coming on, mate, and answering those questions. And I'm sure we'll hear from you. Saucy members will have heard lots from you, and they will continue to, I'm sure. So you're not at the Masters this year, are you?
No.
No. Ben was telling us it could have been the first year where all 16 top 16 people were there, and then
No, and it almost made me go.
Yeah.
Then I saw the rules pack.
Okay then.
No, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just
It wasn't for you.
yeah. It's just a long way to go for me, to be honest. So
No, that's fine. Good. Well, I'm sure we'll hear about your tournament season, and we'll catch up with you at Sheffield in January.
I am at Sheffield.
We'll be covering that on the show, so I'm sure we'll grab you on mic at there as well. So excellent. Well, thanks for joining us, mate, and we'll see you soon.
Take care.
Yeah, just see it.
Okay, so the next guest on the show, following on from, multiple talents, we've got the man himself. He's been here recently, actually. Chris Tomlin from the Black Sun. How's it going?
Yeah, really good. I think I've been on Heelanhammer more than the Black Sun in the last month or two. So.
Mate, it's all good. It's all good. I like this, multiple podcaster thing. It's good. Podcasters are always the easiest people to interview because they want to talk for England. So it's okay.
Definitely, yeah, for sure.
It's all good. So I'm going to crack straight onto it because we've been flowing through these questions with people so far. What's your favourite unit in the game and why?
Okay, well, I'm going to sort of take a bit of an easy one and go for what I'm enjoying at the moment, and that's the Frostheart Phoenix. I'm having a lot of fun with that. High Elves have been an army I've always been interested in, but the addition of the Frosthearts really allowed you to take the army in a bit of a different direction with all the multiple flyers and that as well. So I think it's more, not necessarily just that piece, but what it does to the army as a whole. I mean, that being said, it is an incredibly versatile piece, really, really solid. It's just a lot of fun.
Cool. And do you think have you played High Elves before this book?
Yes, I haven't played High Elves in this edition without the Frostheart, but I've played them in previous books. But like I say, this feels like a very different style of army, really.
Mm. Yeah, it certainly appears that way. I've played against them quite a lot on my road to ETC, and it was one of the armies, actually, I don't think I scored any wins against, literally draws or small losses. So they seem very, very solid, I thought, on the way. And the Frostheart was one of those massive distraction units, even when I was playing with cannons, that, you'd waste half your game trying to deal with. And if you didn't deal with it, you were dead. So it was good.
Well, that's it. It's a bit like the A-bombs and Hydras of days old, where they'd always die, but your opponent would have to sort of invest so many points into killing them. By then, they've normally racked their points back and often more. So yeah, just good. I mean, in my opinion, it's probably the best new unit that's been added to an 8th edition book, I think.
That's probably a good shout, actually. I can't think of anything particularly better that's more like, because it's not even like it's horrendously pointed. I'd say for what it does, it's because it's got that ward save and everything. It's pretty good, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, it's not cheap, but it's not over the top either. So yeah, I think it's about right. Just a good fun piece. And like you say, if it was costed 175 points, then you might have a bit more outcry about it, but the fact it seems to be pointed about right means no one really seems to mind playing them too much, so which is a good thing, I think.
Yeah, it's not one of those things we've heard much rage about, so it must be good. So excellent. Okay then, well, if you had to play one army and only one army forever, what would it be and why?
It would have to be Dark Elves for sure. For most of the people that have known me for any length of time, I would without a doubt consider them to be my army, in inverted commas. They were the first Warhammer Fantasy army I ever got back in 4th edition, but that was only because they had dinosaurs. I like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So I got into them then, and then over time just enjoyed them more and more. So I've played them pretty solidly since 6th edition. I think I've painted probably 4 or 5 Dark Elf armies. Then you had the addition of the Cult of Slaanesh, which I've really, really enjoyed as well. They've always just had a cool model range. The new stuff's fantastic, but even previous stuff's always been, in each edition, for me, they've probably been the outstanding model range. loads of cool monsters, which is what I'm into. So I've just always really enjoyed playing them, and they're a bit emo as well.
I like it. That's great, mate. That's good. You're not the only person to mention Dark Elves. I'm sure you can guess maybe who the other guest was that mentioned their Dark Elves.
Mr. Curry, perhaps.
Yeah, at the minute, the way this is working, we've got several for Skaven and several for Dark Elves at this point. So
I mean, their armies are Skaven as well. They compete in every phase of the game, don't they? So it's not like you're sat back shooting and doing nothing else, or you're relying heavily on magic. I mean, you can go those routes with them and just focus heavily on one thing, or you can mix and match a bit of everything. So I just think they're really fun to play with. And over the editions, they've sort of gone up and down, probably faster and more variable than any other army out there, apart from maybe ogres as well, which have done the bottom to top thing in terms of power.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
No, it's good. It's good. I'd love to talk to you some more about your view on ogres at the moment, but we're pushed for time, so we'll leave that one for another day. But how did you lose the last game you lost?
Okie dokie. Well, the last game I lost was on table 1, final round at Downfall, and I was up against Fat Craig. That's Craig Johnson. Now, this is a bit of an awkward one, because normally I lose games because I'm not very good and I make terrible decisions. So I could normally talk a bit more about all the things I did wrong. I'm going to come across a bit like Mark Wildman on Bad Dice now, in that I'm just going to blame it totally on dice, which is actually what happened. And Craig has said as much to me as well. So unless I did make a terrible mistake and he's just lying to me to make me feel better, which could well be the case. Now, in a more serious note, I think I did make a poor decision as early on as spell selection, in that I only had a level 1 metal in my high elf army, Craig and Lizardman, and I opted to take Searing Doom because he had the 2 Bastillodons. Mm-hmm. And the way the game panned out, it was about turn 3 before I was even in range for that, and I did roll up, as I expected, Final Transmutation on my 1 spell. And with the range of 36 on that, I could have maybe kept him a bit more honest with his slan, perhaps. I mean, my rep with the Final Trans, rolling them 6s for the characters. So I think that was a bit of a mistake. The actual gameplay, I think, went okay. But yeah, a bit of a poor answer on that one, because, I mean, like I say, I'd be interested to hear from Craig if he thinks I did do anything wrong. But sometimes the dice go against you.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a cop out on that one, I'm afraid, Dan.
That's all right. It just happens to be the last game, so yeah, it's just the way it is.
I'm sure in the next month or so there'll be many more down to terrible play. I often just play a bit loose and don't really think as far ahead as I should. I think the better players probably are sort of thinking or looking down at the board and know not only where they want their units to be in the turns to come, but possibly what their opponent's going to do as well. And I just don't do that really. So normally my games are down to poor play or lack of care, but this one definitely bad luck.
Nice. Okay, well, on that sort of vein, talking of good players, who was the best player you've ever faced and why? What was it about them?
Okay, well, I'm not sure if who I'm going to go for was ever really renowned as being sort of one of the best players, but to me, he always was sort of had a bit of something special about him. And this is a guy called Phil Mannering. He was one of the co-founders of Team Shenanigans back in 6th edition, who I was part of with Gary Moore and Rabbit and Ant Jackson, who still sort of play occasionally as well. I think he was on the ETC England team.
He was in 2009, I believe.
A little while back, yeah. Phil was... he's one of those guys, when you were playing him, he had a really good presence at the table, knew everything sort of inside out, very clear and concise, and explained what he was doing. And he's the sort of guy that could take you off quite comfortably, but still give you a really good time and also educate you around the way. So you would come out of the game not feeling, oh, I've just been smashed, but oh, I've just learned something. And I think that's a really good ability. Some of the other top players I have played as well over the years have beating someone and making them feel good about it is a really key thing as well. And Phil taught me a lot of the knowledge I have about Warhammer. I learned from him in the few games we had. So I just think he was a really, really solid guy at the table, and he was a top player who was very fond of having more than a few beers in the evenings as well. So that gets a tick in my book as well. So yeah, I would go for Phil.
Good. I like it. I remember Phil, yeah. So what was your most memorable Warhammer moment in game?
Okay, this is hard. I sat for a long time earlier thinking about what this could be, and I had lots of Final Transmutation and Purple Sun big kills I thought I could go with, but in the end I opted for a bit of a bad memory. This was back when Storm of Chaos had come out, and I was rocking my Cult of Slanesh on a bit of a win streak with a large Cold One Night unit with the fearsome Druchii Anointed in, and I came up against fellow Black Sun member Dom Hook, who was rocking the Sea Guard at the time. This is an army with 4 bolt throwers, a lord on a dragon with the pocket bolt thrower, and the rest of the army was just shooting. And they got a free round of shooting before the game started.
I remember, yeah.
And then he also won first turn. So this was an interesting game with my massive Cold One Night unit, in that I didn't have to take a stupidity test, because by the time I had my first turn, I didn't have any left.
Awesome. But yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, he basically just destroyed me in about 2 turns, just shooting me off the table, and it was absolutely awful. Probably the worst game of Warhammer I've ever played, and I still don't think I forgive him to this day. And some of the things I've done to him over the last couple of years are probably a bit of payback for this.
Nice.
So that's one of the things that just really stands out as not being very good, but very memorable nonetheless. He probably loves it. It's probably one of his favourite things he's ever done.
I can imagine, actually. I was surprised I haven't heard about this before, but no, that was a horrendous army. That not a lot of people loved that army, because it was a bit of a non-game if you had the wrong army playing against it. So
yeah, Dom did, and I can imagine he'll have a bit of a wry smile on his face listening to this.
Nice. So hopefully this next question is a bit more positive for you. But what was your most favourite event that you've attended, and why?
Okay, well, this is going to sound like I'm doing a bit of brown nosing here, so I'm sure you can guess what's coming up next.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for the South Coast GT 2010.
Oh, yeah.
This was probably the first really big event that we attended together as the Black Sun, me, Scott, Dom, Diesel, and I think we had quite a few other people in tow then as well. And it was the start of my now successful campaign to make Ben Diesel a superstar.
That's true, yeah.
And this is sort of when Diesel Mania first took off. So we got a load of T-shirts printed with I Love Ben Diesel on, and we drummed up a bit of interest on the internet before, and we had the likes of Ben Johnson who had agreed to wear one and that. And I'll never forget his face as we all walked around the corner wearing them. I couldn't repeat on your show what he said, but it was pretty unsavory. But it was just a fantastic event. It was the first time I sort of felt really integrated into the scene with everything, and it was just awesome. Gaming wise, I think it was pretty poor. I did what we call a lead, where I won all my games on the day 1 and lost them all on day 2. But yeah, it's just a fantastic event. Really, really good. I don't want to go on about it too much because
it gets enough coverage on this show, so yeah, it's all right. But yeah, we're looking forward to this year. But I'm surprised you went for 2010, but that was a good year, because considering you had 2013 tattooed on you. So I did that. Yeah, and I wonder what's in store for 2014. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I don't know if I can top a tattoo, to be honest.
Just have them all done over one arm over the years. That'd be great. Yeah. So what's your gaming, apart from getting yourself re-tattooed? What's your gaming or hobby goal that you've yet to achieve?
So yeah, I thought of a few boring ones here that I'm sure other people might come up with different trophies, winning events and whatnot. But I had a little think, and what I'm going to go for is to beat Matt Sewell. Now, the reason I say this is we've played 4 times and he's beat me every time.
No.
I have the worst record against him than any other player ever.
Nice.
Which is shocking, because he's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I wouldn't be wrong in saying I think the times I've played him, it's been 20-0 to me. So yeah, but no, I actually think he's pretty good. It's just he's been unlucky. But yeah, so there you go. I like that goal. I'm sure he's listening, chuckling to himself.
Yeah, so. So there might be a grudge match or 2 this year until I can. Although I don't know, do I just cut my losses and keep it at 4-0? What if it goes to 5 or 6?
Exactly.
I feel like I was a West Ham fan or something.
Quality. So international listeners that don't know who Matt Sewell is, I'm sure if you follow, is he at Throg these days? Well, I don't know what he's on Twitter, but
I think it's Mr. Sewell or Mr. _Sewell. But yeah,
he's a let's say he's a very popular guy on the tournament scene. So there you go. So on to the Heelanhammer ones quick then, as I know you've got to shoot. But what was your most favourite or memorable Heelanhammer saying, catchphrase, quirky topic?
Okay, well, I'm not going to go for something you've repeatedly said. I'm going to go for something you repeatedly haven't said.
Go on then.
And this is when you sat on the fence.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing you, Dan, I can just tell sometimes there's things you just love to say, and you must have such a good ability to just restrain yourself. So there's all these moments when you're sat on the fence, and it just makes me laugh every time because I'm trying to wonder what does he really want to say here.
Yeah,
and that pops up quite a lot. So that always makes me chuckle.
Yeah. That's what text messages are for, mate. See, that's that's it. Good. Yeah, I like that one. So, who was your most favourite guest and or host of Heelanhammer over the episodes, and who would you like to hear more from?
Okay, well, I think I'm going to go for in terms of guest, I'll go for Simon Hyatt. I think he came across really well the time he was on. We're talking about high elves, and you don't always get a lot of elf love on your show. So, I mean, I know you can go elsewhere for that sort of thing, but yeah, he came across really well. And then Ben Diesel had that brief interview back at, I think, South Coast 2011 or 12, and that was probably one of the highlights of your show, I would imagine.
Oh, easily. I'm sure that I haven't checked the listener figures, but it must have been skyrocketing at the point.
Monumental, I'm sure.
Yeah. If anybody is new to this and listening to this and they're thinking who Ben Diesel is, just I don't know, search the internet. He's more popular than, I don't know, anything that I can think of. So, yeah. There you go. Just check it out, and you'll find out who it is. So, okay, final one then. What was your most memorable Heelanhammer moment?
Okay, well, I did check that I could ask this, didn't I? And I'm going to go for Spearsgate. A couple of reasons. I mean,
you want to just quickly tell the listeners in brief, because we don't want to go there again, what this was about.
So there was a tournament, I think was it Sheffield?
Yeah. Let's just say a tournament. There was a tournament.
There was a tournament.
With a couple of people,
a couple of brothers, and there was an allegation of people being dinged for sports in order for other people to not win events or win events, and it was nice for you to go into that sort of side of tournament play. It's a bit more unsavoury, but it unfortunately does happen time to time. And you guys actually went into it in quite a bit of detail, which I was quite surprised about, but it was nice to hear that. And I think you went about it in a tactful way, but there was a bit of a repercussion for yourselves, and a letter which was read out.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, all jokes aside, it was very, very interesting, I thought. And we haven't seen anything before or since really on any podcast in terms of controversy like that, I don't think.
No, I mean, I had it as my, I think, one of my most memorable moments for the wrong reasons, really, which is the amount of hassle and it caused me, not from any listener. We didn't have, there was not one voice of dissension upon the topic we covered at that point, but it was just more the mental stress of having what came with it. So, but yeah, it was a memorable moment, and hopefully, something could come out of it. I think the tournament scene's been much better at dealing with these kind of issues over the long run over the years. We've certainly stopped people coming to events, and that's something that I haven't seen for many years. So hopefully,
I mean that's, I think, as a podcaster, that it sounds a bit serious, but it is sort of a responsibility to make stuff known like that, because otherwise I think things get swept under the carpet far too much, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, unfortunately, people do say this to me often at events over the years when we've spoken to them. They have used the word responsibility, that sometimes if everybody on the podcast circuit went on and said this was true, then a lot of people would believe it is true, and because that's their only outlet to the wider wargaming world if they haven't got a club or something else. So,
definitely.
So hopefully we've done.
And I'm not saying I'm without fault over the years either, by the way.
I'm sure no one is. You can only say what you think. So that's why we're all here. So no, I appreciate that, mate. And that for me, that was a memorable moment. So I'm not surprised to see it on your list. So finally, what question would you like to ask the next interviewee? Which is quite funny considering it's probably going to be Simon Hyatt, who you've just mentioned. So
excellent. All right. Okay. Well, I think what I would like to know is what is Simon's favourite Ben Diesel moment or quote over the last few years?
He's probably got one, actually. So yeah, I'll ask him.
I'm glad it's someone who knows who Ben Diesel is, at least.
I did have a question for Russ from Russ for the next interviewee. He was before you, but it probably never made the cut of the listeners listening to this, because it was quite rude when he found out it was you that was coming. So I can't actually remember what his legitimate question was.
We'll go with Ladyboys for the answer.
Yeah. Do you know what? Would that work? That would have worked. Yeah, it would have worked. Yeah. There you go. We'll leave it there. Brilliant.
Amazing. Awesome.
Well, thanks for joining us on this 100th show, mate. I'm sure we'll be speaking to you again at some point, but it's always nice to touch bases with you.
Congratulations to getting that 100. We've just hit 50 on the Black Sun, so yeah, it's I can't imagine doing another 50 to be honest.
And
that seems like miles away.
And I was thinking about the other day, I was like, it's not just another 50, it's all the saucy content and all the rest of it that we've done over the years. And not only that, the amount of missed recordings and lost recordings that I've had over the years, hours. Plus, as you know very well, I mean, I think you edit more than most people because of probably the guests you've got on. But, you can appreciate the time it takes to edit that amount of hours as well.
I can do, yeah. A massive time investment for yourself. But yeah, I think everyone appreciates it. And yeah, it's good to have you guys around still for sure.
Definitely. Well, thanks for joining us, mate. I know you're keen to shoot. And we'll speak to you soon on the show, I'm sure.
Anytime. Cheers, Dan.
Okay, so straight in, Fast and Furious, on to the next guest. We've got with us a man who's been on the show multiple times, and as you heard through the last interviewee, I know Chris from the Black Sun has named him his favourite host or guest on Heelanhammer over the episodes, and that's Simon of Hoeth. Hello, mate. How's it going?
Hello. I'm all right, thank you.
Good. And welcome to show 100. It's flown by, hasn't it? The time. How many shows have you been on? Loads.
4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah, easy, and always a popular person. So I thought we'd get you back for show 100 to answer some of our questions. Now, this panel of questions is sort of been put together by a few listeners. Also, some info I had from Ben Curry, and it's a bit of a mix of questions. So we got some on the game, some on people and events, and some on the show. So it's a bit of a quiz, but there's no wrong answers. So, what's your favourite unit in the game, and why?
It's got to be my Frost Phoenix.
Yeah, funny you should say that. The last person on the interview said that. Yeah, why then? Why is it the Frost Phoenix?
Effectively, the rule is if the Frost Phoenix is alive at the end of the game, I've won the game. But also, I mean, the model I've got, which isn't the Games Workshop one, but it's one of the models that I'm very proud of what I've made. And it's just sort of, if you can take it in every army, it looks nice, it helps you win the games. It's exactly what you want, and it goes in my favourite army.
Sounds good to me. So, did you, as a long-term high elf player, do you think it's made a massive impact on the army?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the things that's made the biggest difference, since it gives you, it's that kind of thing of any debuff that the enemy can't do anything about, it can't be dispelled, it's going to obviously have a big effect on the game. But then the fact that it's so tough, and it gives you something that can actually fight monstrous cav, which was previously, before the high elf book, didn't really have a good option unless it was White Lions.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I like it, and I agree. So if you had to play only one army ever, and you could never play another one, what would it be and why?
Still High Elves.
Yeah, and why is that? Because you love them. Because you love them.
I love the fluff. I love the models, and that's why it's just been an army that I've played for a long time. It's the one I've had the most success with, but it's been the one I've played the longest and had the most success with because I've liked the story and I've liked the models.
Sure. And do you think that the fact that it's a multi-phase army impacts on your enjoyment of the game? Or?
Definitely. It's, if you can do something in every phase, you don't feel so much a passenger. I mean, I know there are some people who are die-hard dwarf fans, but let's face it, the majority of us are not and don't like that. The idea that you sit there for 1 or 2 phases or even 3 phases not really doing anything.
Yeah.
And High Elves, you never have that problem. And you've got a lot of flexibility within the book to actually build an army that can do lots of different things. You don't have to take the same sort of list every time.
No, Chris was saying previously he felt that the Frost Phoenix edition gave another sort of large fly and large target aspect and possible build that you didn't have before in the previous book.
Yeah, it certainly opens up making the dragon build that much more competitive when you can stick down another big Gribbly with it.
Yeah. And I think the thing is that the High Elves, I mean, I suppose we better celebrate a little bit of success here. I know the Bad Dice podcast recently did, I don't know if you saw it, their sort of personality awards.
Yeah, just listened today.
Yeah, and the book, I think it was High Elves, was voted by the people that did it, was voted the best book of the year.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those. I think the reason it's been a success is so many people like it. Yet it's not destroying tournaments. We've had a tournament win here with it, and people are just starting to really get to play them, and they seem to be out a lot more. I know we've been banging the drum on this show about how we think they're competitive for a while now, and people are starting to show some of it. But I think that's the success of the book. It's powerful, but it's not overpowerful. It's not like everyone's jumping on it, pushing it forward.
Yeah, it's not, and I think it's the fact because the internal balance of the book is quite good in comparison maybe to some of the other books. You do still see a fair amount of variety. It's not the net list, which maybe warriors and demons have trended towards quicker than the High Elves did.
Yeah, I mean the closest you get to it is the Banner of the World Dragon White Lion unit, but what surrounds that unit can be quite different from army to army, but that's not the only build, is it? You see quite often the cav. I see a lot of cav with the banner, which is great. Yeah, and I've seen a lot of Star Dragons, so that's a really good thing. Whereas the warriors list, you tend to see the same, give or take the character setup. So
I mean, and I've not run the cav or the white lions really at all, and and had fun with that. That's for me why it's the better book, and really why I think it's better than the Dark Elf book.
Oh, I agree. Oh, you've been playing some Dark Elves, so it's not surprised. We'll have to chat to you about that at some point. See how you found it. So how did you lose the last game you lost?
Triumph and Treachery's bent.
Yeah. Oh, you went there this week, were you? Remind to tell you off air about that game, because I played it this week, which we haven't been able to talk about really on the show. But yeah, I loved it. So, but you lost Triumph and Treachery, did you?
Yeah, it's become a running joke that I will bring something like Wood Elves or Tomb Kings, and then everyone will pick on me anyway.
Nice.
And they felt actually sorry for me after the first turn, fireballing across the whole board, nearly all my Glade Guard off, and my level 4 blowing himself up. But it is great fun. But yeah, it's all the cards, and not once you've lost your level 4, it's level 3 is a small game, but once you've lost your magic and your archers, you don't really have much in Wood Elves.
No, that's true actually. We talked about this earlier in the show. The listeners will have heard that Wayne thought I would say Wood Elves is my army that I would stick with and play with, because it's my oldest sort of passion. But I said the problem is exactly that. Currently, I can't see how they don't really play the game, and it's disappointing, really. So fingers crossed for a new book. But no, that's good. That's good. What was your most memorable Warhammer moment in game?
So, like many people, I think my favourite Warhammer story is a giant story.
Yep.
So back at 7th edition, and I was still sort of playing at my weekend club with sort of the other teenagers, and hadn't really, the tournament scene was completely unknown to me still at that time. And I was playing Dave the Beast Hansen, Orcs and Goblins, with my Wood Elves back when the Wood Elf book was broken. And I had my Highborn in his big unit of Eternal Guard. Giant comes barreling forth, immediately picks up my Highborn, shoves him in a bag, then immediately fails his Leadership 10 stubborn, runs off, and is then chased for the rest of the game by the Eternal Guard unit. Catch it on the last turn, champion when the Giant tries to pick him up, pokes the Giant in the eye, kills the Giant, and saves the Lord, and saves the battle.
Like it. That's good. That's good. Yeah, you don't hear as many Giant stories as you used to. It's always the old, he yelled and bawled at me. That used to be, I remember in 7th, 6th, going back to 5th, when Giants could do it. It was always good. It was always good. Always good to hear a Giant story. So, what's your favourite event that you have attended and why?
South Coast GT, where I got best high off.
Yeah, good. Was that 2010? Or was it later? No, it might have been.
It might have been 11.
Yeah, it might have been 11. It's interesting because, again, Chris Tomlin picked a South Coast GT10. I just wondered if it was the same year. It was obviously a vintage if it was, but yeah. That's always good, yeah.
And I think that was, for me, in terms of how I thought I was doing, that was probably sort of the high point for me, in terms of I'd finally got an army that I was really happy with. I played well. I got very lucky along the way, but, it was that for me was the high point. Whereas since then, as I've become a teacher and things like that, haven't had the time to maybe play quite so much as I wanted to.
No. And you think that's impacted on your performances?
Definitely. I think that half the people that finish in the top half of tournaments are just there because they play more games.
I 100% agree with you. Again, a conversation, I think we may have been even on this show, we've had this discussion where, I honestly think that good players don't suddenly get worse. They just don't play as much. So, I agree with you. So, interesting, that one. Interesting. So this follows on well from that, actually. You were talking about, you thought it was your high point of your gaming career. And your gaming career is fairly just getting started. So there you go, plenty of years left of playing this hobby. So what is your gaming or hobby goal that you've yet to achieve, that you would like to achieve?
Best painted at a significantly large tournament. I've had one at a little one-dayer, and I've been nominated now at Pillage and a few others, but I want to get the trophy for that. Yeah. And to me, that matters significantly more than the gaming.
Brilliant.
The goal has always been each army to be better than the last one. And broadly speaking, I've managed to stick with that.
And I think that would be the case for most people. If you just keep with it and keep churning, you will learn so much experience, don't you find, from making one army and seeing other people. So you get enough ideas to go into the next.
Yeah, no, I mean, a big thing for me to make me go forward a lot like that was actually Aaron Wayne to speak to, and going to a sort of more grown-up club, moving sort of away from kiddie hammer, and actually being able to talk to people. Oh, how did you do this? What do you think I should do about that? And that's made the world of difference.
I think we're actually very spoiled. We take it for granted, but like I popped down the club the other day. I can get into a 5-person Triumph and Treachery game, and there's still people queuing up. That's I think that's quite a rarity to be able to do. So, and everybody's such a good guy, and that, and we didn't even have half the people at the club that could have been there. So, I think we are quite lucky. But as you say, I think I'm sure I've mentioned it multiple times on the show. Having Wayne to bounce off of is always a bonus, because he is so passionate about the painting side of it.
Yeah, the hobby aspect, and it's all those little extra things that unless someone sits there and explains it to you, you'd never work out.
No. And there's only so much research you can do on YouTube. So there you go. Good. Okay, I like that one. You might be. Were you the first person to pick a hobby one? I don't know, but that's good. That's good. I like it. I'm glad we got one in there. What is your favourite or most memorable? So these are show-related ones now. What is your most favourite or most memorable Heelanhammer saying, catchphrase, or quirky topic repeat? So things like Wayne going on about Rat Ogre Charge all the time, or anything like that.
So my two favourite sort of running jokes has got to be live from Portsmouth, as we are now.
Yeah, live. We are live. Yeah.
And bits and bobs, your favourite saying.
Yeah. Do I still say it?
I think it has gone down now. You've been made a bit aware of it.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think that was Al Thompson's fault. Warhammer mentioned Al Thompson. For newer listeners, might not have heard from him, but he was a nightmare for saying bits and bobs as well. I think that's he gets me going. It sort of spreads. So yeah, I like it. So, who is your favourite host or guest on Heelanhammer over the episodes, and who would you like to hear more from?
I think I would like to see more Steve Wren.
Yeah. Now, non-Saucy members, I can't remember if they've ever heard Steve on the show, but he's done a recent Saucy show with us. So have you listened to that one?
I haven't listened to that one next. It's escaped my notice, but
it's about competitive tournament painting. So there you go.
Yeah, there we go. So I've got to listen to that one and see what I can learn. But that's really actually what I was going to request Steve for more of, is, as he's done very well in those bad dice awards, is, Steve is one of the best sort of army painters out there. And that's one of the things I'd like to learn more about. And I think he's actually probably a bit better at the gaming than he sometimes gives himself credit for.
I think it's a bit of a joke that he's naff at the game. I've watched him play at the South Coast. I don't think he's that bad at all. I've played him. I don't think he's that bad at all. So there's certainly a lot worse players out there. So, but no, that's good. And I'd hope to hear some more from Steve as well. The Saucy show we did with him was really, really good. And I like to think of him as the new Wayne Kemp, the younger model. Yeah. So there you go. Although he's not that much younger, I don't think. But yeah. He's probably going to abuse me now. I bet he is actually a lot younger than Wayne. Sorry, Steve. Okay, that's good. And finally, what was your most memorable moment on Heelanhammer over the last 100 episodes?
So my favourite one, just in terms of, because I know you and Wayne since seeing you at the club, is perhaps your reaction to coming back from Whoops Apocalypse.
Now, the Whoops Apocalypse, I suppose, for anybody, I briefly mentioned it when we were asking Wayne these questions, but is Wayne's favourite event. He's done it nearly every year. I think this year might be one of the first years he's missing it. And he and it's a real hobby gamer, random pairs and all the lot. And I went just after coming off the back of being super competitive. Well, I don't even know if I was super competitive at that point, but just being a bit more of a competitive gamer than Wayne. And yeah, it
shock to your system.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock to my system when my main Bretonian questing Knight Lance got destroyed by some weird plague wind rule, took the whole unit off on turn 2 or something. Yeah, it's I had a bit of a sulk. So yeah, it was good. But no, that's I'm just trying to think what episode that was now. That would have been quite a while away. It's actually 57, I believe, which I think is around March 2011, I guess. So yeah, have a listen to that. If you're a Saucy member and you've got the archive, of course, because it'll be on there. I'm not sure if it's available on the normal feed. So, but yeah, good. I'm pleased that one come up. Again, I have a feeling that Wayne may have mentioned something similar, or he might have just been hammering me off air. It's all a bit of a blur at the moment. Too many people to talk to. So, Si, thanks for coming on and answering these questions. I know we're going to hear some more from you soon. And here's to a few more and having you on in the future shows. You can say bye.
Oh, bye.
Okay, so the next guest, I'm joined by, I think it's not an official, I suppose it's the official debut. You've been on the show before, very briefly on the ETC shows, I think, when we've talked, but a well-known other podcaster from the Dwellers Below, Nick Cohen. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad, Dan.
Good. Well, thanks for joining us at this this time of day. For you, I suppose it's all right. For me, it's a little bit early, but it's all right. We're good.
Yeah, 6 in the evening, not too bad over here.
Good. Certainly easier talking to you guys than it is guys in America, where I have to stay up late. At least getting up slightly early is not really a big deal. So let's get straight on to the questions. So, gaming related, what is your favourite unit in the game and why?
Favourite unit is any kind of dragon, really. Big flying gribbly, and dragons are just fucking cool. Oh, family show. They're cool. They're just cool.
That's all right. That'll be beeped. But yeah, no, that's good. What is it about dragons you like? Apart from it, is it just that they are cool?
They are just cool. I've always liked the sort of fantasy, sort of fluff of Warhammer and that style of fantasy. So it just dragons and that sort of things what appealed to me when I started the game, and they're also kind of cool in the game. So
good. I like it. So if you had to play only one army, you could only play one forever, which would it be and why?
That's a tough one. I'm enjoying Lizardmen at the moment, but probably have to say High Elves or one of the Elf armies. Again, they've got dragons. I really like the sort of mixed style of play. I guess the Lizardmen offer that as well. But I don't like being committed to one style of play. I don't want to have to push it forward like Warriors of Chaos tend to have to. I don't want to have to sit in the board edge. So something mixed and varied. So probably High Elves.
Yeah, it seems to be. Funny enough, I think that's about the third. That might be is that a third or second pick for High Elves. But yeah, that multi-role army's definitely been popular. Just quickly as well. I mean, we could talk all day about this, but I do want to ask you. You were mentioning that you're enjoying playing the Lizards. Now, that's not something that's particularly well resounding around the UK at the moment. The enjoyment of it. I mean, what is it that you're enjoying?
Yeah, in Australia at the moment, we're going through a phase where we're using a lot of Swedish comp, but particularly we're using some very high scoring Swedish comp lists. We've got our biggest tournament in the last couple of years, CanCon, coming up in a couple of weeks, and that's 130 players. And really the comp pack for that, it's between 10 and 16 on the Swedish scale, but you've really got to take between a 15 and a 16 to be competitive, just because of the scoring that you get. So everyone's taking very different lists, and to take a Lizardman list at that sort of comp level, it's a fairly mixed list. It's got some combat stuff, it's got some shooting, it's got, I've got Cold One cavalry units in there, but I've also got some skink cohorts and skink skirmishes. I've got a Temple Guard block. So it's not just shooting and magic like sort of the normal sort of net list is, and that to me is fairly boring because it's just sort of throw skinks in front of stuff, death magic with your slan, and then the game's over. Basically, this is a list that it can go forward, engage, it can sit back and react. It can do a bit of everything.
And have you got many Scar veterans or Stegodons in it?
I haven't got any Stegodons. I'd actually like to use a Stegodon, but Swedish comp's a bit prohibitive with the Stegodon.
Oh, okay.
So surprisingly, because I don't think they're that great. No. So I got 2 Scar vets, one on foot, one mounted, and then I got an Old Blood on a Cold One. So those are absolute boss.
Yeah, I'm going to say they're probably quite a linchpin of your list, aren't they? I would have thought do a lot of the hard graft.
Definitely, they do the heavy lifting. They're in the slan, but the rest complements it fairly well. So.
Good. Well, I'd love to chat to you some more on that at some point, but I'll leave it for now because I know we're pushed for time. So here you go. How did you lose the last game you lost?
That's the last game I lost.
You're going to tell me you didn't lose one now, aren't you? Yeah, I haven't lost for years.
I was trying to think back. It was a couple of weeks ago. My unit of 73 Temple Guard got charged by too many Demigryph Knights, and so it got killed.
Was it instantly or just over a few rounds?
It was a couple of rounds, I think. Actually I did beat off the Demigryph Knights, but then came out the other side, and I think the Steam Tank killed the last 3 guys or something like that.
And was that just
this was our attempt at a non-comp tournament, and it didn't go so well.
Fair enough. And did you was that a misjudgment, or was it just a something that had to happen in the end? Like, did you think you could take the demis?
I'd never really used 73 Temple Guard before, and I'd not played against the whole Empire 8 Demigryph Light Council gun line Empire list before, so it was sort of push it forward, see what happens. It was just a fun game. So,
and how many points was this to have 73 Temple Guard?
I was 900 or something. plus the slan and characters.
And what was the army value?
The army value, it was a 2,400.
Oh, it's just a 2,400 list. Jesus. Oh, okay then. Yeah. And how did that list work out for you over the tournament then?
I drew one game against the army it was designed to play against, and then I lost the other two. So not so well.
So there you go. Bringing massive units is an auto win. Who knew?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So who is the best player you've ever faced and why? And what was it about them? And I mean, really interested in this one because obviously you're not UK centric, so you've got a wide range in options. So go for it.
That's not an easy question. I'm going to annoy you here. I'm going to go with Jack Armstrong.
Okay, he'll be happy. I don't think he's got a mention yet.
Oh, there you go. Well, I've picked someone from the UK anyway, mainly because I've never gotten to play against myself. So
yeah. That's what Russville said. Me. Yeah.
I haven't been able to play Russville, unfortunately. So we'll see. No. But Jack Armstrong played a bit this year's ETC, and he beat me in a matchup where I had to push, and so the result was fairly obvious from the get-go, given the situation. I took a couple of long shots early game, but just watching the way he plays that Lizard Army, how methodical he is, how he covers every base, and I was being told to go into a game against him and push for a 20-0 win in a matchup I couldn't really do that in, and he just had me covered. It was he showed me a little bit, and I went for it, and he was just showing it so he could take it away again, I think, because he knew exactly what was going on.
Brilliant. Good. I like it. I like this question. It's brought out various different answers, so it's good. So what's your most memorable Warhammer moment in game?
The whole game, one of the most memorable was last year. One of my mates who he organised a 20,000 point game Warhammer. Mm-hmm. We did a battle report. We did the Battle of Hell Fen, and so it was Empire and dwarves against vampires. And so we spent 12 hours playing this ridiculous game of Warhammer. And then at the end of it, after sort of 12 hours, 20,000 points, like 1,000 models on each side of the table, the key character, Manfred von Carstein, got shot off by a cannon out of his unit, which was just spectacularly ridiculous. Given we thought about it at the start, because we had like 8 cannons on the Empire. We thought we can just shoot him every turn with 8 cannons. Eventually he'll die.
Yeah.
But we didn't, because we were doing a battle report. We thought that wouldn't go so well with the battle report.
No.
So in turn 6, the Empire are losing big, and the guy's got 1 cannon left. He goes, you know what? I'll just shoot the cannon at Manfred and just kill him.
It's always the way. But there you go. It's good. Okay. So what was your favourite event you've ever attended, and why?
I'll do 2, because they're both different. One is the ETC. Being Australian, seeing something like the ETC it's something completely new. It was just amazing walking into the hall and seeing so many different teams, and just the way people treat the Warhammer and how excited everyone was for the game. That was something really special. Just seeing things like Team Denmark doing their Team Denmark chant with their shirts off before each round and shouting in the middle of the room was just crazy. So the atmosphere around the ETC is one, and the other one is a tournament we do here called the Warhammer World Series. And what we do is we put the armies on the tables at the start of the tournament. So it's 1,500 points per army, and they start on the table. So there's no comp, nothing. All the armies are matched up against each other, and they stay on the tables. And so you just get randomly allocated to a table each round, as does your opponent, and you dice off to see who picks the army, and then you go from there. So you end up playing with 8 different armies for the tournament.
Yeah, that sounds quite cool. I like the idea. How did that go down? Have you done that before? Was this something?
Yeah, we've done it twice. We ran it last year as a 2012 as a 1-day tournament, and then 2013 we did it as a 2-day tournament, and good reception. Everyone had fun. So.
Brilliant. And I suppose you get a really good winner out of that at the end of it. They had to play with all the different armies.
Well, that's exactly it. It's a true test of skill.
Good. Did you play in it, or did you run it?
I helped run it, but I did play both years.
Yeah, and how did it go for you last year?
Last year, I think I was 6th or 7th. The year before, I think I came 3rd.
Brilliant. Good news. Okay, I like those. That sounds like a great event, actually. I did see some talk on Twitter, I think, about you guys covering that on a Dwellers, so I'll have to give that a re-listen, so that's great. What is your gaming or hobby goal that you're yet to achieve?
I'd like to win the ETC.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I've probably only got one ETC left in me, so it's going to have to be this year's one.
No, I'd imagine the cost and the effort you guys have outweighs far anything that we moan about here in the UK. So I don't blame you. What is right? So it's on to Heelanhammer stuff now. What is your favourite or most memorable Heelanhammer saying, catchphrase, quirky topic? Things like Wayne's first turn rat ogre charge that seems to pop up a lot, or random sayings that we do.
The frequent the advertisement for energy drinks, really, for Relentless. I mean, if we had that over here, I'd be drinking it because my favourite podcast advertises it every second line.
We'll have to see if we can get a deal with the makers of Relentless. There you go. So yeah, if you have Relentless in your country, try it. It's like no other energy drink you're ever going to drink. It's amazing. I don't know if that's actually true, but that's how I feel about it. So no, I like it. Who is your favourite host or a guest that we've had on Heelanhammer over the last 100 episodes that you would like to hear more from? Or, well, actually, it's a bit of a two-parter. It's who is your favourite host or guest, and who would you like to hear more from?
Well, I'm talking to you, Dan, so I'm going to have to say Wayne is my
obviously.
favourite host, obviously.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the discussion with Dave Witek that you had recently. I listened to some of his other podcasts. I do like it when sort of there's mixes of culture. So you've got you talking to someone from America, or just talking to people who aren't sort of the standard people that you talk to.
Sure.
I find that more interesting. But I have been meaning to listen to the Saucy episode with Russville, which I haven't got around to yet, but I plan to listen to because I've heard that one's pretty good.
Excellent. Yeah, I think you're not alone there. Ben Curry mentioned he quite liked it a couple of years ago. I think I spoke to Carol from the Polish ETC team. He was a Skaven player, and I think Ben mentioned that. I quite like. I always enjoy talking to you. We've got Dave Witek on later in the show, actually. So there you go. Yeah, good. Yeah. And finally, what was or has been your most memorable Heelanhammer moment over the 100 shows? What sticks in your mind of the shows we've done?
I think I've been in the background of one of them. So as an ETC interview, maybe. I enjoyed the ETC coverage. Given that I've been at that event, that's the one thing I struggle with the UK podcasts is relating to event coverage and stuff, because obviously I haven't been to the event.
No.
But I did enjoy the painting discussion you had a couple of episodes ago. I think that's what I get out of Heelanhammer the most, is the stuff Wayne says about hobby, because I'm primarily a gamer. I do enjoy the hobby, but I do need to find more hobby time.
Don't we all? Good. I like that. Well, thanks for joining us, Nick, on the show. I'm sure we'll grab you at a later date for another topic. I know I'm very keen to speak to you on things like Tomb Kings and bits and pieces, because you're one of the most experienced Tomb King players I know, apart from good friend Russville. So I'm sure we'll be able to touch bases at some point. Maybe get you on for a saucy or something.
Sounds good to me.
So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Okay, so we're joined by a guest that you heard from not too long ago, and his super sidekick. It's Dave and Chris from Garage Hammer. Hello, guys.
You're
Welcome.
a super sidekick.
Yo. All right.
Yeah,
He's wearing his spandex. He's sitting there in a cape.
Yeah.
David wanted me to wear it. That was a condition.
I should say, actually, I mean, I do listen to your guys' show, but it's one of the ones where it's a longer length. Sometimes it hits it hits the bottom of my sort of limited time to listen, but I do try and get in. And I always thought that you, Chris, were good when you were like a semi-regular guest. So when I heard you got the guest spot, that was good. I thought it was a good choice, Dave, that one.
Why, thanks.
Anyway, that out of the way, I've got you guys on to answer the set of questions that the listeners will have already heard from a lot of our guests already, and I'm really interested from you guys being, completely geographical elsewhere. Some of these questions I think are going to be good. So let's get straight into it. So, Dave, I'm going to go to you first.
All right.
What's your favourite unit in the game and why?
Okay, I was thinking about this. This was a hard question for me.
It's a good question.
It is a good question. And I actually went with the Bretonnian Grail Knight bus.
What?
Shut it!
Bretonians?
You know what? There's nothing in my armies that really stands out. I mean, I love the gyrocopter, and I actually was kind of looking at the Orc War Boss on the Wyvern. It may not be the best unit in the game, but talk about favorite. I think I love that Grail Knight bus. I like the look of it, the long, thin lance. I love the painting and hobbying opportunities with all the fancy Grail Knight models. And damn, that thing really does pack a wallop. I mean, it's not as good now because of the just massive amounts of troops on the table.
So you don't have one. Does that mean you're going to get one?
No, I cut down to 4 armies from 10, and I am not starting. I love the way it looks. I love the story behind them. Just how these are the best of all the knights. I love how the lance works. I have a bit of a romance with the 7th edition Bretonnians. I just really loved everything about them. And so, like I said, paint-wise, each model you can spend all sorts of time with each model, making each one unique and individual. It's just a really cool concept for that. But I'm sorry, apparently my choice sucks with the look you're giving me.
Coming out of left field, it took me by surprise.
I was actually I also was looking at, like I said, the Orc War Boss on the Wyvern, because you never see that anymore. But man, I love the model, and I loved seeing it in the game. That thing just coming out and wawing and charging forward.
Oh yeah,
but that was my choice.
When it could go over the hill, it was a beautiful thing to see when someone hadn't seen that.
Yep.
Can't see you now, I can. It was brilliant.
Right.
It was excellent. So no,
exactly.
I like that one, Dave. I think it's a good choice. Certainly different from any of the ones I've heard so far. So that's always good. So
I could have just picked a powerhouse, but I wanted to try to pick something.
No, It is your favourite, so it's entirely up to you. It doesn't have to be super powerful. I forgot what you picked, Wayne. What did you pick?
Rat ogres.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be super powerful at all.
Oh yeah, take a cheap shot at the rat ogres as usual. I'm the only person on the planet that likes them.
Yeah, just saying.
Cool models.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
the old metal ones are good.
Yeah, they are.
The plastic ones are rubbish.
Anyway, on to you, Chris. What was your favourite unit?
Well, for me, it's the High Elf Dragon Princes. Similar to Dave. Quiet you. Similar to David. I love the idea of elven elite warriors charging headlong into the unwashed masses. The models are nice, and the fact that they're more than viable in the game now is an added bonus.
Yeah, definitely. I think that kit's been a good kit ever since it was introduced. I mean,
it's a lovely kit. Yeah,
a lot of that was in a time as well where we had the Fug Hands, what I call the Fug Hands elves with the big, massive arms, massive
spearmen.
fists. Yeah. So and they sort of did well. But yeah, I mean, have you played much with them, Chris, with the new High Elf book?
Almost exclusively. That with the Banner of the World Dragon, run that in a bus with a Choppy Lord and a level 4. Typically Lore of Life, although I've done Shadow as well. I found it to be a great combination.
I bet. I mean, we've seen some success from people recently. The High Elves are suddenly starting to come to the forefront here in the UK on several events, and there's a couple of armies in particular I've seen with big buses of troops. I think as well it's aided by the fact that demons are so popular on the top tables at the moment over here. So, yeah, really good. Good. Okay, Dave, if you had to play only one army forever, what would it be and why? Now, I really hope, I've got my fingers crossed you're going to say something here that Wayne picked originally. So go on and go.
Oh, my God. Okay, so now you put the pressure on it.
Yeah.
Now, I recently cut down from 10 armies to 4, and I had real trouble picking. Now, so because I know you guys haven't, listen, I'm down to Wood Elves, Demons, Vampires, and Dwarfs.
Oh, right. Okay, good choices.
And Wood Elves, I kind of...
three good choices.
See, if I had to pick
all
one forever,
mediocre choices,
I dropped the Wood Elves, and then I was really torn. Dwarves have been my first love, and I honestly probably would fall to Dwarves. I actually wrote on my answer sheet here. Can I answer this question next month after I see the direction my Dwarves are going?
Funny enough, that was the one I thought you'd say, because Wayne joked that would be the army he played, and then went on to joke some more that would definitely not be the army.
I love that army. I've always loved dwarves. I mean, ever since I was a kid playing D&D, dwarves have always been my favorite. But then I figured, honestly, because I even though I've been playing VC a lot, I kind of pushed that one to the side, and it became a toss-up between dwarves. And then the weirdest thing is, I was actually thinking possibly demons.
Yeah, why demons?
Because that's like 4 armies in one. You can kind of cheat. You can play 4 mono armies. You can mix them up. There are a lot of cool models there. Lots of, once again, opportunities for painting, converting.
I'm going to call you out here, partner.
What?
You've not played a game with demons yet.
I know, which is, but I've read the book and I have played. I played in the team tournament with them, with Grant.
So, okay. A handful of games.
A handful of games, yes. Which is why I'm sticking with dwarves, because. Well, no, but because of the two. I mean, that's where I was torn, and I thought I was really. I mean, seriously, all day I had. My students were in presentations all day, so I didn't actually teach. So I was going over your questions while they were watching presentations, going dwarves, demons, dwarves, demons, dwarves, demons, and I'm like, I knew it. I said, if I pick demons, Chris is going to tell me, what the hell do you know about demons? You never played them.
Yeah.
You put a lot of thought into this.
I really did. I wanted my interest to be good.
Yeah, sometimes though, I think.
Hey, it's not every day, and it's not too many people that get to be on Heelanhammer.
This is true.
Make sure your damn answers have been thought out and are good.
Right.
Exactly. We like people to put in the time. That's good. I certainly put in the time for my answers.
I just like to say I love the background of dwarfs here. I think it's brilliant. I love the whole what they're about. I just think in the game, I even got words to describe that. Well, I don't get them. I don't get the point of them.
I have to agree with you. I don't see the appeal either. They're fun to kill.
Yeah,
but they're fun.
You are such a tool. You are so mean all the time. We have people in our forums. They're like, "Geez, Chris's dwarf hate is getting extreme."
Isn't the game more fun if you have that hate?
No.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
I just hope they're getting a real extreme makeover in the new book.
Yeah,
they make dynamically they make them almost a completely different army.
I mean, in all seriousness, there's a lot of people that listen to this show that are really into their dwarfs, and I'm sure that when Dave mentioned that, they're fist pumping away.
Yeah, I'd love them to be. I would love them to be a better army, just more dynamic on the table. They can actually do stuff,
a bit more interactive.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They are limited. I'm not saying they're not. They are limited by how slow they are. And in fact, my biggest beef isn't so much how they play, because I run them forward anyway. Screw it. I play how I want to play. I'll run them forward. They don't get there too fast, but they'll get there. My biggest beef is that the models have almost no variety. If you want to, I want to do convert up some models for an army, and it's like my dwarves are coming out, and if they look anything like the ones now, I have no opportunities. Because
you'd have to get some green stuff and braid some beards.
Something. Because I mean, they're. I mean, look at your hammerers, look at your iron breakers. It's the same model. Yeah. I mean, you can literally put a template on top of your hammerers or your iron breakers. And just I want to put it, and just put it down on top, and it'll rest there. Nothing falls over. It's just there. Perfect.
Well, the word on the street is the new dwarf models are supposed to be very dynamic. So I think you're going to be pretty happy about that.
You can see that, couldn't you? As long as they're not crazy. I'm not keen on the whole jumping off of random rocks and doing MC Hammer dances. Look, that kind of look. But
especially for dwarves,
especially for dwarves.
Really silly, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
with the pants. And everything.
Although I wouldn't mind some Slayers having those dynamic poses, like those Berserkers they used to sell back in Storm of Chaos. Those are pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
they would still play the same though. Cannons way in the back. Can't touch those.
Yeah, exactly.
That's always been my playstyle, though. Even as a kid, I like the defensive armies. I like the dwarves. Here, I'm going to shoot you with cannons, then you're going to come close, and I'm going to shoot you with guns, and then whatever's left is going to break like water against rocks, against our armor and our hammers. Yeah. I like that.
After saying that, I really can't understand why you don't play them, Dan. Because
that's why I started playing Wood Elves, wasn't it? Yeah. So I could sit at the back and shoot people. So
you can move and shoot.
Yeah, it was just more. I felt more interactive because I got to move my models. I felt like I was missing a phase if I played dwarves.
Well, and that's the thing. My three armies that I have the most fun with are the ones that I want to play demons, I play VC, I play dwarves. I seem to only pick armies that don't play in all four phases of the game, which I just...
Get yourself an elf army. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I've got the wood elves. I just got to start using them.
Yeah, I need to get my one of mine painted back up for sure. So, okay, dwarfs. That's good. That's good. Like I say, I'm sure there's loads of dwarf fans that'd be well happy with that. So what about you, Chris?
Mine's much more straightforward. It's high elves again.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's too predictable, but back in the D&D days, I always fancied playing elves. When I first started this game, I knew right away it'd be high elves. It's the whole idea of the elite warriors have a little bit of magic, dragons.
You've only played two armies the whole time I've known you, and your elves are the ones who get most of the love with the painting and the really just the.
This is true. Well, although the greenskins are.
No, your greenskins are beautiful, and you spend a lot of time on them. But
they're getting much more time.
Yeah,
is what I meant to say.
And how have you found the new book just randomly? I mean, is that another reason why they hold your interest?
I found the new book to be very good, the High Elf book, and yeah, it definitely. I've only played one style of list so far, and there's so many combinations and different variations that you can play. I'm looking forward to mixing up and trying new things on my partner David here. He's sick of the dragon boss.
I can't beat. Okay, he runs them 4 wide on top of everything else. So he's got the command and the Lord, so he can keep the. So he can keep. No, what do you need ranks for? You got a stubborn crown and the banner of the world dragon. I can never beat that goddamn list.
So we'll try a shooting list next time. Maybe the Coven of Light, and there's
Try
lots
something.
of different things we can experiment.
Coven of
on.
Light against my vampires. Thanks,
That's it.
appreciate that.
Yeah. I like it. No, I mean, generally, actually, your I think overwhelming majority of, if we had to little vote, has gone to the High Elf book so far as the book that most people would like to play. So yeah, seems to be a popular one. I don't blame you at all. It's one of those armies that long-term listeners will remember that I've been banging on about for ages that I always wanted to do. So you never know, one day. Okay, so on to the next one. Dave, how did you lose the last game that you lost?
Oh, well, the last game I lost was Triumph and Treachery, and that was because I wasn't being aggressive enough. I lost almost no models, but I didn't gain enough points. But if we're talking about a game, I lost that in Chris's basement because I'm an idiot.
In my basement?
Yeah. That was the last game I lost, was the one in your basement. My VC against your... it was the first time I was going to beat the High Elves. That was my first time I was going to beat the new High Elf book.
Yeah.
I had you on the ropes. I was ahead in points, and I'm running my vampires, and what I did was I just took my eye off the ball. I moved up my general's unit in the skeleton bunker. I moved him up closer so that I could bubble his magic. I was already ahead. It was it was like turn 5. I didn't need to do it, but I really wanted to try and kill that stupid night bus. And I had angled all my models, so I'm like, okay, the zombies are here and here, so a unit of knights won't fit through that gap, forgetting that he only runs them 4 wide, you tool. And I moved my unit
there
up,
on the table
and I'm
for
like,
all to see.
here goes the magic. And then he's like, okay, and I beat these guys, and now I'm going to charge. And I was like, oh, and he just fits, because you don't need the 1-inch rule, and he's only 4 wide, so he just squeezes through between them, slams into my general's unit, kills the general. I was like, oh, I just lost again. I'm like, I had him. I
love the way
even killed a Frostheart Phoenix for the first freaking time. Right. I still lost that game.
I love the way Chris just sees it. He can't remember it. It's just like, it's another routine, battering a Dave.
Well, see, he's the Dan on the show. He's the he's the player. I'm
so much has happened since then.
Well, maybe for you, I'm still dwelling over.
Yeah, the important thing is Dave's not bitter about it at all.
Yeah. Well, I'm mad at myself because I had it, and it's one of those things. And I always do that. When I first started playing this game, I had the win. Turn 5, I have the win, but we're playing the game, so I'm like, well, I can charge, so I should. And then it's a stupid move, or I leave myself open somewhere, and then my opponent turns it around in the last 2 turns, and
well, use it. Each time you play a game, you won't make that mistake next time, and you'll get progressively better, and you'll win all the tournaments.
Sure, all the tournaments.
And be
I'm coming
US
in,
number
boys.
1.
Get ready.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
I'm going to win the ETC all by myself.
Playing all 8 games at once.
I'll be like those chess champions. I'll just run from table to table, move my stuff, and move along.
Yeah, I like it. Make sure you get it on YouTube. I'm sure it'll get quite. So, what about you, Chris? What is the last? How did you lose the last game you lost? Or are you going to give it the old? Well, I only played Dave, and to be honest, I don't know. Never happened.
Hey, wait a minute!
Actually, the last game I played, I got a proper whipping. I was playing my Orc and Goblin gun line against the new Dark Elf book, and my opponent, he's a younger gentleman. He was running 2 units of 5 warlocks, and I could not deal with those.
I don't know if you guys saw any of my tweets this week. I played a game against Brian the Hobby Killer recently, and he literally destroyed all I had. I had my bus left, my vampire bus, but he destroyed my entire army with literally 2 units of Brolocks. That was it. They just managed to kill it all. Just horrendous.
Brolocks. I like that.
Yeah, I think I stole that from someone, but
Brolocks.
If I said it on air, that counts, right? So yeah, but yeah, I mean, sorry, Chris, you were saying about your experiences, whether they were pretty horrendous then.
Yeah, that in combination with the meeting engagement scenario. So we had a super small deployment. We vanguarded him. He shot one of my wolf chariots and magic missile the other one, and those are kind of my anti-chaff units. Once he took those out, then I had to start devoting things like doom divers to the warlocks, and with that 4-up ward save, they're just hard to. Yeah,
fast cav with a 4-up ward. Yeah, they're tough, man. I mean, they're frightening.
Well, they're a really good unit.
What I found playing them this week was that I had 5, because I've played Dark Elves now 3 times, and all the times they've had one of them they didn't have warlocks, but this particular time they just destroyed my support units. I had 5 Vargeists. They couldn't charge them because they'll die. And the my Vargolf, they charged the Vargolf 6 dice, Soul Blight. Oh yeah, he's toughness 4 now. He's dead. It just literally blew away all the stuff I had to any chance of killing them, and then just went through all my zombies and all the rest of it in a couple of turns. So.
Well, that's it. Power creep. Warhammer's broken. I'm going to rage quit.
Comp. We need comp, everyone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's it. We need. Yeah.
Yeah. But no.
No Brolocks.
Comp those dirty elves.
So would you say it was a list design thing then, Chris, or you think it's just generally going to be hard for you?
No, I think I would chalk it up to experience. The center of my army is a horde of savages with the poison banner and bows. Mm-hmm. So I think if I bring them about and shoot that at one unit at a time, that would probably put a nice dent in them, if not kill it entirely.
Definitely.
I just don't want to expose my flank to, his Corsairs or Witch Elves or whatever, but, I might have to.
Turn it around on a death of 1,000 cuts against the Dark Elves. I see your plan.
Well, you got to fight fire with fire sometimes.
But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think how the edition moves. I mean, you think about, I don't know how it was in the US, but in the UK, it started off with big, 3-block infantry units and a couple of bits, so you had to be able to deal with those. And then it moved to this sort of era of almost 7th edition fast cav units and things, so you have to deal with those. And now you've got 2 light units in the game that, they're almost medium, aren't they? And now they're a concern. So it's having to deal with all these different things. Really, it's quite interesting.
It's good for the game. It always keeps it interesting and keeps you thinking.
Definitely. Good. I like those reasons for losing. They were good. So, Dave, who is the best player you have ever faced and why? And what was it about them?
I would have to say that the best player I've ever faced is actually our friend Alex Nikotenko. Our friend Alex has been playing since 2nd edition?
Something like that, yeah. And
he plays Dark Elves in VC, and he just rarely loses. He knows his army backwards and forwards. He actually rarely loses against them because he just knows everything they can do, and he knows how to go against them. And I remember playing again. I've never lasted past turn 2 against him.
Oh, okay.
He takes my vampires apart. He's really good, and he's one of those players where, we're friendly, so he'll sit down afterwards and he'll, if you ask him for advice, he's not one of those guys, you should have done this, you should have done that. But if you ask him, he'll sit down and he'll work with you and he'll kind of, point out things. But he's one of those guys, I remember him telling me, chess masters sit there and play their game and they're thinking 16, 17 moves ahead. He's like, Warhammer 6 turns. He goes, if by turn 2 you don't know everything you're going to do for the rest of the game, you're not, he goes, this is how you need to play it. You need to have your plan and have it planned out and that kind of stuff. He's a great guy and he's a great player, and he's one of those guys who you don't mind losing against, but when you get a win against him, which I still haven't, but I've seen people do it, you're like, wow, I know I played a great game. It's one of those things. So
good. I like it. What about you, Chris?
Mine is actually the same person, Alex. He pretty much taught me how to play the game. He was the first person that I played outside of my immediate group of 2 or 3 guys when we started playing. And man, what a trial by fire. I set up my models against him and I was terrified. But it was a great learning experience. Like David was saying, he kind of has a clarity of judgment about the way he plays. He can see the math. He can predict, based on deployment, what's going to happen. And it's a pleasure to play him because it is a true learning experience. And hopefully when you guys come to the States, you'll be able to meet him and who knows, maybe even play a game with him.
Brilliant. I mean, does he do tournaments and things? Will he be at Adepticon?
He will be at Adepticon. In fact, he and I are sharing a hotel room where we're going to be team tournament mates.
So, excellent.
So that'd be cool. I'm always looking for new people to lose against.
Okay, great. So, question, what are we on now? 5, aren't we? Yep. Dave, what was your most memorable Warhammer moment in-game?
I would have to say that it would be at my first GT at Core Competency, which the whole thing was kind of a cool experience. But I was in Game 3, and I remember this. I was playing against our buddy Greg Dupuis, and he hates every time I bring this story up. I'm playing my dwarfs against his Skaven. And 8th edition, this was right after 8th edition came. So it was the October after 8th came out. And he had this big horde of storm vermin with the warlord on a litter coming at me. And we were in this combat against my It was either my hammerers or my longbeards. I can't remember which. But I wind up winning the combat by just like 1, maybe 2, and he fails his test, and he's going to run, and he fails it with the reroll. He's going to run, and these guys are running with the +1 to run, and I'm running at a -1 to run. So he rolls an 8, and he's like, okay, I'm like, oh man, and I sit there, and I rolled an 11. And I just put my hands like, woo, because that was his big block. I did that. I broke the back of his army right at that point. He was just staring at me. He's like, no, dwarves are not supposed to run down. That's not how this game works. And at that, I mopped it up. And actually, that was my first GT, and I wound up taking 3rd place in it. And that was like the moment. Like if that rundown hadn't happened, I'd have lost that game, and that would have been a very different tournament for me. So that was my big fun moment. And dwarves running down Skaven. How can you not love that?
You retire. No?
Always,
I could retire.
No,
I've been through that pain. I've had dwarves run me down before.
Yeah.
It stays with you forever.
I think I always find it the other way around. When you finally get to the dwarf army after getting shot to pieces, you finally grind them out and break them, and then you don't catch them.
Yeah.
And in the current game, you don't get any points.
I've had that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Sad times. What about you, Chris? What's your most memorable Warhammer moment?
For me, it was playing as Orcs and Goblins against a demon player, Dan Rude. He's one of the local players. And,
awesome
I had 2...
Awesome name. Yeah.
Yeah. 2 hordes and, a bunch of support units, no shooting, and he had a Bloodthirster. I thought, okay, well, how am I going to deal with that? This game could be over before it starts. Well, for whatever reason, he had chosen to charge the flank of my Night Goblins that were 5 wide, 10 deep. But the whole game chopping it away until there's down to a single Night Goblin. Roll to make my break check, double ones. Yes, serves you right.
I think a few people I've seen over the years moaning about the double one, but I think you don't get those kind of stories otherwise, do you? I mean, the amount of times I've done it with lizard men, actually sometimes it causes a problem. You get one skink left to it'll double one. But yeah, good stories.
That's still my favourite rule.
Yeah,
the current edition. Double one.
I
love it because it's always
just the idea of one little Night Goblin, holding off this huge demonic Bloodthirster. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about the new Demon book, though. In fact, I was playing at Bits. I was playing Greg Dupuis again, and I beat his one army. And I beat his one unit of, I forget what it was, but he was playing demons. I beat the one unit, and he does his break test and rolls the 12. Boom, gone. I hit the next unit. I chop him up. Like, I wiped out half his unit. Boom, double one. The whole damn unit comes back. Like on the very next combat. So like one goes away, one comes all the way back.
Not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, no, that's I love the Insane Courage is one of the best things in this edition.
I haven't actually seen that demon rule happen yet, but I'd imagine it's somewhere, if you're a demon player, somewhere in the lines of the equivalent of your A-bomb getting back up, which I have done several times, and maybe not quite as cool. But
the very next game, I'm playing an all-corn army, and you're still rolling for your winds of magic to see what happens. And he rolls the whatever it is and brings a whole nother unit into the game.
Yeah, I've seen that one a few times.
That's a game changer.
Yeah.
So that seems to happen quite a lot. I don't know why. I always hear stories of units appearing. And we've started to play a lot more scenario-based games in the UK, and it can have a massive effect on some of those scenarios. So, quite good. Good. Okay, so Dave, what was your favourite event you've attended and why?
Well, I was tempted to say core competency because I podiumed at my first GT, so I was like, cool. But I got to say, honestly, despite all the fun that Adepticon is and seeing all you guys when last year all the guys came the British invasion, and this year it's coming again. But I got to give it to Blood in the Sun, not just because you got, and it's not just because you run it, Chris. Honestly, because Blood in the Sun, it's kind of local. Our friend Cranky Lawyer comes in. He comes and stays a few days and visits and goes in. And honestly, it's a Midwest tournament. I'm at the point where I know almost everybody there at this point. And seriously, it's like going home. It's a fun tournament with fun scenarios, and it's really like seeing family. I look forward to Blood in the Sun because I know when I'm going to go there, I'm going to see a lot of guys I only see once or twice a year. And I feel like I'm coming home. It's always at the same, it's always at the same venue. You guys have a nice venue. And I pull up to that parking lot. I know the place, the whole hotel like the back of my hand, and it's like going home.
Good.
I'm happy to hear that. makes we're doing something right then in that case.
It always looks good from the Twitter coverage, I got to say. It does always look really good. So, it looks like you're doing a great job there. What about you, Chris? You can pick your own event if you wanted.
I thought about it, but I won't. I'll actually go with Adepticon. You guys have heard there's plenty of coverage. A lot of people have been there. Just the sheer spectacle of it all and how big it is, and seeing international folks, as Dave had mentioned. It's kind of like a reunion of sorts. You see these people once a year from all over the place. I think one of the best things, though, is being able to participate, as a tabletop painter myself, participating in the crystal brush
that was
process.
fun.
Yeah, putting your miniature on the photo table. They take a picture of it, and it looks all, there's people like getting the lighting right, and they make a big deal over, the stuff that you work hard on. And then they put it in the case, and then they upload the pictures to the website and everything, and it's just great.
There's nothing as cool as I've done, and I'm really, you guys know, I'm very into the hobby side. You put your model in there. I've got my Terrorgeist in there and my Mortis engine, and like you said, taking the pictures is cool. But then it's in the display case, and I'm walking by later, and there's people taking pictures of my model.
Isn't that great?
Not the guys doing it to put it up on the Cool Mini site for voting. Not the Cool Mini guys. Just schlubs walking around at Adepticon, and normal guys going, "That's a cool model. Look what he did there with that. That thing's eating a horse. The guts are stuck in his teeth." And they're taking pictures, and I'm just like, "Wow, somebody likes my stuff enough that they're taking pictures of it to show their friends." That is really awesome.
Well, it's interesting because you'll have your model sitting on one shelf, and then 3 models over, there'll be a legitimate Golden Demon type.
Yeah.
Model.
Which mine isn't, but it's just kind of cool to see.
But it's just to see it in the same case. It's kind of an ego boost. So just that whole, the pageantry of that part, I really like.
It's good that they treat them all the same. Actually, there's no kind of differentiation between the standard of painting. That's really cool.
I mean, eventually they do the cut just like they do with Golden Demon.
Yeah.
So these are the ones we need to keep. Wayne, you should definitely bring something. You can enter.
Both you guys should.
I am.
Excellent.
I am, but it's secret. Dan don't even know about it.
Revealed just for you on show 100.
There you go.
Yeah.
It'll be on a saucy episode.
I'm bringing something. So.
Yeah. Well, I might bring something.
Well, you do that.
Bring the ghost fence. You got to bring
the ghost fence. Yeah. Get it. That'd be brilliant.
Just do it. What, just a shadow.
Just the fence.
Oh, just the fence. Yeah, I can take the fence. Yeah.
Okay, what's that? It's a fence.
It's a fence. It's famous. Yeah.
It's just make it a base.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't see it.
Get all up in their face. Like, I'm not photographing a fence. Do you know who that fence is?
Ask anyone here; they all know.
You should do a Twitter feed for it. The fence.
Yeah, at the fence.
Yeah.
At the fence. I like that. Yeah. There you go. There you go.
You've sat on it enough
New
times,
idea.
isn't it?
Yeah, I have. Anyway, moving on then. So, okay. So, what is your game?
It was like it was going home.
Yeah. It's 2 a.m. It's hard work.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. What is your gaming or hobby goal that you have yet to achieve, Dave?
I want to. I want to get an army and come up with a good enough concept where every single model has some conversions and is painted to a high enough standard where I win a best painted in some tournament, whether it be a big tournament, small tournament. I mean, I'm not looking to win best painted at Acon or anything like that. But if I can win best painted somewhere and with every single model having some conversions, that's like, because I'm just not at that level yet. And that's the level I really hope to aspire to. Because I look at the stuff Chris does and he's real modest sitting here next to me. Shut up. The guy, converted up a bunch of the Goblin Wolf chariots, and he's got real string running. He's adding the rings and all the stuff hooked up to the bits and the bridles and stuff like that on them. Adding little length with all the replacing all the spearheads and all the spear bits. I mean, it's just your models look really nice, and I look at that and it's stop. Well, sorry, I don't mean to embarrass you in front of the whole world, right? But it's just that's the kind of stuff you look at Hastings stuff and the Rogers stuff, and I know you guys hear about that. You guys listen to their shows too, and I mean Johnny Hastings spent over 2,000 hours on his last army. Every single one of them is painted to the nines and converted, and it's like
it's a full-time job.
I want to do something like that. That's my goal, to eventually get an army that's that much that I can be proud of that can win best painted.
It was great to see their armies, actually, the South Coast GT. They're lovely, aren't they? Both the armies they brought over are fantastic. And the Demon Army brought over, which is so different.
And also so brave to put that in an airport transport, having done international
True, all those
international
tentacles,
travel.
it's so fragile.
Yeah, having done that for a few years now, and I remember the first time I ever did it and took my pterodons, and they were literally like I'd bought them in a blister pack when I got there. That's how smashed they were. So I learned a lot that first year, should we say? But I'm
a bit worried about bringing my Skaven over. I'm not sure I'm going to transport them without them ending up in bits. To be honest.
Oh come on! What does it matter? You've only got 7 of them. You just make another one. I mean,
bring your spare ones. Yeah,
they're like Doctor Who. They just keep on regenerating.
He wishes they had regen.
Yeah, I do.
Anyway, what about you, Chris? What's your gaming or hobby goal?
My goal is to win best overall at one of these 2-day GT events.
Cool.
Up my competitive play a little bit and podium and hold up the plaque or trophy or sword or whatever. And
whack player.
Not a whack player.
I know, I'm just teasing.
No, yeah, you're allowed it. My one was fairly gaming orientated, so that's fine.
What was yours? Because I'm guessing in my head. What was yours?
I had down that at some point I would like to be UK number 1. I've been 3rd for a couple of years in a row, but I've never quite had the time, effort, or ability to get to 1. So I'd quite like to do that at some point. So I had that as mine.
Top 10 nationwide is nothing to sneeze at. Top 3 is nothing to sneeze at.
No, it's not, but it's always nice, isn't it? This always feels better. It's like getting podiums,
right.
Eventually, like 2s and 3 don't mean anything. You want 1s, so I don't know. Wayne's just looking at me now. Yeah.
I'd be happy with a 3. I'll be fine with that.
Yeah. I could hear Wayne shaking his head.
I was shaking my head. Yeah, you're right. You could hear it.
Anyway, no, that's good. That's good. There's nothing wrong with want to win in if you're doing tournaments and stuff. There's that's what we're all there for. So it's good. It's good. Okay.
Oh, hold on 1 second, because I'm reading what I wrote here, and I wrote this. Like I said, this is one I actually wrote a couple days ago. I wasn't agonizing over it. I said win a Best Painted award and maybe even get featured in an article in White Dwarf. Well, that one I can scratch off right there. So
yeah. Yeah, well, we'll wait to see what happens with that. So.
Right.
Okay, so onto the Heelanhammer type ones, which are always interesting. So, Dave, what is your favourite or most memorable Heelanhammer saying, catchphrase, quirky topic, etc.?
Well, okay, if it's going to be saying, it was, I've been listening since the beginning, and every time you would say live and Wayne would yell at you was always one of my favorites. But I think the thing I love the most is, especially in the earlier episodes, the rapport between you two. When you, Dan, would start to get a little gamey and start, and Wayne would just get flabbergasted. I'm like, you could just hear him getting heated up and just like, oh, I can't believe it. Really? Are you? And he's getting,
that's an impression of you being done there. That's good.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
And it's just, and it's just, you can just hear him looking at you and shaking. Like I said, you can hear him shaking and going, really? Because there's Wayne, and adding another piece of plastruct and painting this and putting this together and putting there. And Dan's like, yeah, put it on the table. I need to wipe it out. and it was just that, when Johnson was on Bad Dice, every once in a while, you'd hear that same thing where he'd just be like, Curry'd be talking about his list, like, aren't you ashamed of yourself?
I do miss that from their show. That was always a quality piece of it.
There was that similar vein where Wayne would just constantly be like, are you serious? Really?
I've got a few absolute peaches for him for when him and me get to play Triumph and Treachery. I've told some of the guys, some of the beauties.
Yeah, they were telling me about it last night, actually.
Oh,
they were saying that, you can't wait to... was it you're going to filth me up or something? You're going to wipe me out in 2 turns and all this smack talk.
No, not the 2 turns. I've got so many ideas of how to wind you up and just get you going. It's going to be awesome. So,
but the other thing that I put that I liked is getting Wayne all wound up about Dan's gaminess. And this was just like in the last year, hearing about how Dan gets all wound up and can't handle whoops.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I was in the car. I almost had to pull over. I was laughing so hard. I couldn't see straight. As Wayne was taking the piss out of you there for a bit, just because you're just, what is this? I can't play this. And it's like, really?
And Wayne, I think you relish bringing it up because you'll bring it up on a semi-regular basis and kind of twist the knife a little bit.
Yeah, I love the fact that he can't just take the game for he was saying that whole, it's a real test when he went there, and I thought this is really going to, he talks about, I like to have fun games and I like to play the hobby side of it, and it's really good fun. But when he was faced with it, properly faced with it, he just broke. I couldn't take it.
I don't like.
Listen to that. You can hear the laughing and the smile in there. He's just loving it.
Beaming.
He's loving it.
And it's funny because, Dan, you're normally so calm and collected and professional on air. Just this mental image of you, throwing a die across the room.
I think the phrase "spat his dummy out" was definitely what happened, and he stomped off to get himself a cup of tea.
I had a big wine, and I was like, "I'm going to get the cup of tea. Does anyone want one?" And they just looked at me like, "No, it's all right."
Have you played Triumph and Treachery yet, Dan?
Yeah, we haven't covered it on the show yet, but I have. Yeah, it's. I actually quite like that because that's. The thing is, the whole ganging up on each other and all that kind of stuff, and the debuff cards and things, I can deal with that. I think my biggest issue was Whoops is what I didn't like is the random stuff that you had no control over that just removed models and stuff like that. I find it frustrating. Whereas at least in Triumph and Treachery, you've got some control over what's going on. So we
did a 4-player game. It's actually our next episode. We basically recorded the whole game. I'm trying to pare it down, but I don't remember having so much fun. We were actually kind of putting it off until we heard Wayne gushing about it, and then
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. I just like the whole. I think as well. It's taken a bit of a while for the guys down the club to get their head round. You don't have to take the normal, hard list. Because sometimes if you take the hard list, it's the worst thing you can do because people just the other 3 players just gang up on you because they're like, oh, we can't deal with that. Well, all of us will have him, and so
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, so it's that whole kind of wanting to take choices that you wouldn't normally take, in units that you wouldn't normally take. So it gives you opportunity to paint something different as well. I just think the flow of the game as well with the 4 players all against each other. I think it's great. I love it.
Quick question for you guys. I want their opinion on this. What happened with our game?
Yep.
Let's say the player who's got the most coins at the end, who's winning the most coins. What if their army gets wiped off the table? I mean, the objective is to have the most coins at the end of the game. So they still won, didn't they?
I don't know. Can you spend money when you're dead? I don't know.
That's the question.
Yeah. I don't know. That's true.
Because I also play Malifaux, and I know this isn't that, but on Malifaux, you could lose all your models and still win the game because you fulfill the objectives, and the objective is to get the most coin.
Well, I'd say if you lost all of your models before the game ended, which obviously would have to happen if you got wiped out before the game ended, then you'd lose all your coins, wouldn't you?
I think it's a house rule. Have it as a house rule. That's the house rule. Got to be. If you wipe out, you lose auto.
Yeah, we couldn't find anything in the book, so we gave it to them. We're like, hey, you have the most coins, so you win, but
if you do not exist, you can't win.
Yeah.
No, I think there's a few like that. There was something else as well we picked up that somebody highlighted as well. There's a few small nuances, and sometimes I think a couple of them where you just got to make a group decision on what sounds right. So, I mean, there's one rule in particular that didn't sound right, but if you read it, I haven't got it to hand, otherwise I'd probably remember it. If you read it properly out of the book, it sounded really odd, but I don't know. Yeah, whatever works. But yeah,
right, sorry, I'm distracting you, and I know it's like getting later and later. So
that's right, no worries. What about you, Chris? What was your favourite or memorable Heelanhammer bit?
Just dip it. The part that your old intro, where for great tactical talk, I charge here and angle this down in the flank. For great painting advice, just dip it. I love that. That's the best.
Good. Yeah. Funny enough, that's what I've been doing recently, dipping. But yeah,
there you go.
I do like it. Wayne got me onto it, oddly enough. So yeah, it's popular stuff.
I'm shocked, Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because he knows how to do it doesn't mean he does it.
Well, to me, dip's just another way of washing models because I still do all the highlighting on top of it. It's just a matter of to me it's no different than using a wash or using
yeah, I agree.
It's kind of like the only time it looks like dip is when you do just dip it and you just leave the model.
We got some zombies in front of us at the moment. I actually did physically drop it in the dip the other day by accident and then picked it up, and oddly it come out all right. But,
there you go.
Yeah, I do remember when it first came out, people used to literally dip it on sticks and
it just takes too long.
Garden. Yeah, it does, just paint on. Anyway, enough of that. Okay, cool. So who was your favourite host or guest on Heelanhammer over the episodes, and who would you like to hear more from, Dave?
Who's my favorite host? Well, I'm not picking between the two of you. You guys tie. You're both wonderful. But I think as far as guests go, I think that personally the quintessential Heelanhammer guest is Russ Veal.
Yeah.
You guys have a great rapport with him. He's on a lot. He's on the saucy episodes. I mean, we've had a lot of good guests on over the time you've been doing, your show. But it just Russ is like that guy who just slips into the third chair and is really. I mean, Brian Carmichael's great when he comes on too. He's very comfortable and has a good rapport with you guys. But just Russ seems to be on a lot more, and just seems to be if you were ever going to move to a 3-chair show, Russ just seems to be the guy.
Good. I'm glad you like it. He always seems to get good feedback. I never know whether it's his direct nature or because he's quite a funny guy as well, or what it is that people like. But he's always in demand, so it's good. Good. What about you, Chris?
Mine is actually Simon of Hoeth.
Oh yeah.
High elf.
Not only because he plays elves, although that is a bonus. It's because I think in that classic British sense, he's very reserved and very calm and very dry. I would love to have him on air. Yeah.
He went to university at Oxford.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So
yeah,
he's got a brain on.
He's not a posh kid. But if you met him, you would assume that he was because of the way he talks and the way he looks and his sounds and everything.
Very good manners.
But he's not a posh kid at all. But he just, I mean, we picked him up from his university, but just before because he's a teacher, before he finished, and it's like Hogwarts. It was just like everyone wearing gowns and stuff like that. So really, yeah.
He's so reserved on air that it'd be great to get a rise out of him in some way. If he were on our show, I'd be trying to do that all the time.
We'll have to try that next time he's on. Actually.
Yeah.
Or down the club playing Triumph and Treachery. I think you could do it. So
there you go.
Yeah, good. We'll try it. Good. Okay, I like that. I think he's done well, Simon. I think he's had a few votes.
Yeah, he's always got a different perspective than us as well, which is good. And he was
It's because he's got a brain.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yes, yeah.
Well, tell him that. He should come on. The public demands it.
Yeah, good. We'll tell him. And he only lives around the corner, so it's easy.
There you go.
So, finally, over all these 100 episodes, what was your most memorable Heelanhammer moment, Dave?
Oh, okay. I actually tried to go, and I went onto iTunes and started flipping through the names of the episodes, trying to because there was a lot of stuff, and I could be hokey and sit there and be like, when you came on and said you were quitting, and I was so sad, or when you came back and I was so happy, but I'm not going to sit around and stroke everybody. That's stupid. Honestly, my most memorable Heelanhammer moment was, and I'm just talking with you and Wayne, was when you guys agreed to come on our show.
That's good. That's a good
I'm
one.
going to tell you, Christopher and I, first of all, we're jumping up and down like crazy because we've got friends like, how the hell did you get Heelanhammer to come on your show? I'm like, dude, I don't know. But you guys agreed to come on for an hour or so, and we were really. It was a good time. Christopher and I were up there. First of all, you were on the show for like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, and then when we actually ended and said, okay, we're going to go and shut off the recording, Christopher went to move his car, and we're like, hold on a minute, he wants to say goodbye. You hung out with us, and we just chatting on Skype for another 30, 45 minutes, and it was just so cool to sit down and just. I mean, we were talking about all sorts of stuff, not even Warhammer stuff. Just, we've never met you, obviously. Yeah, it was just, but it was just really cool. It's two guys who we were still. I mean, we'd been doing it for about maybe a year, and you guys were one of those shows. I mean, and I'm not sitting there trying to stroke you, but at that time when we were sitting there, you were Dan and Wayne, and it was like. Holy crap, not only did they come on our show, but they weren't like in a rush to get off. They genuinely were fun. We got along well. That was one of the moments where Christopher and I kind of felt we had arrived in the Warhammer community and in the podcasting when they came on and had a good time and were willing to stay and talk with us afterwards and stuff. That was just really cool. So that was kind of my Heelanhammer fanboy moment, I think. So
good. I like it. I like that one. I think that's my favourite moment. There you go.
You've had your ego strokes now.
It's always good. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. And we always like it when people say that we're normal. And we have chats with them. It's always good. That for me, that's always the most pleasing thing at tournaments where somebody comes up to you afterwards.
So your most pleasing thing that you can hear is someone saying you're normal.
Yeah.
You don't ask for much, do you?
No, not
well, hey, if your life's anything like mine, you never hear it from your family, so it's nice to hear
true.
Right.
No, but it's good. It was one of my best moments, I think, of January last year, is a guy, I think I covered this in the show actually, but I'll repeat it anyway, told me he thought I was a rude word, but just by him listening to the show, he just didn't either agree with what I said or I come across bad. And he was really nervous when he started playing me. And afterwards, he gave me his best sports and said he was really surprised that I was normal. And laid
nice
back,
guy.
nice guy. Yeah. So, but I like that. I
Shocks me every time we play.
Yeah. Depends what day we're playing on, I guess. But yeah. So yeah, it's always good to hear. So no, cheers, Dave. I appreciate that. And what about you, Chris?
Mine is it's an interesting one. It's actually a double-edged choppa, and I use that word with purpose. On one hand, Dan, when you chose to pick up Orcs and Goblins, I was over the moon. I thought, I'm an Orcs and Goblins player too. This is great. I'm going to listen to what he says and glean some tactical wisdom from him.
3 weeks later,
the famous 8 games.
And then, I sold it. No more. I was absolutely gutted.
Yeah. I knew that was going to happen. I'm sorry. That is too random. That army is too random. I'm like, if he sticks with this army, I'll be shocked.
But if you jump into it, the randomness comes with the territory. Yeah. I would think, for me, but when I chose to purchase the army and had it on the table and started playing it, the animosity I just had, it's just one of those things that you have to accept.
Yeah,
the last 3 games you lost to me with Orcs and Goblins was because of an animosity roll. So I could.
And what army did I bring with me tonight?
I don't know.
Orcs and Goblins.
Oh, did you?
We're gonna play. Yeah, we're gonna play again. So tonight after we record.
You can minimise it, can't you? But I still said, and Wayne, I'm sure you can back me up here, that it was the most fun I've had playing 8th edition. But then I didn't have the competitive, all the artillery and a Savage Orc block and bits and bobs. I actually had like Black Orcs, I had normal orcs at one point, didn't I?
Yeah.
Big normal biggins, the spider. I tried a lot of different things, but actually, I can't remember if I've said this on the show. The reason I got rid of it was because I needed to fund an iPad for the missus or something, and it was ended up being a swap, an iPad for the army. So, and Brian, then it was with Brian, and Brian went on to use it, and I think it's gone around the tournament scene now. I think Brian's painted it, and it's moved around. But yeah, I'm sad to let that one go. I'm hoping still to revisit that at some point.
If it was economic, then I can totally respect that. I thought it was just based on, I don't know, not being able to make it work.
Yeah, that made a better story, I think. But yeah, but I did really enjoy that actually. And Wayne, you had a good run against me with that army.
Yeah. I was praying you'd keep it.
Was it Beastman you beat me where we played one day? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was the low point of my Warhammer career.
You just sat there, slumped shoulders.
You took my spider off with Centaur.
I did. Yeah, that didn't go down well.
Yeah, but no, it's a great army actually. It's a good. Yes, I like that one. Did you have another bit? I couldn't remember if I interrupted you middle of the way through there, Chris.
No, that was it. The highs of your picking up that army and the lows of your dropping it. So.
There you go. Well, I might return to it soon. I'm not sure you could glean any tactical knowledge from
Dan,
it.
You're toying with my emotions now.
Yeah, but I don't know. I look at that army and I think the competitive list with all the artillery and the rest, I could play that. I think that would probably suit me. But
especially now with all the warriors,
you could play the 10 War Machine gun line just fine. Sure.
Yeah. I can do that. Yeah. I ain't got this VC army I'm playing with at the moment. I've got not much hope with, so you never know. It's very middle of the road. But good. Okay, guys, I really appreciate that. That was good comments and really well covered questions. So I appreciate you both coming on to the show. Is there anything else? Do you want to plug your own show while you're here?
You mean GarageHammer at garagehammer.net? We have voicemail 1-757-GH-Show6. But
I nearly phoned that the other day actually, just randomly
00.
Yeah. But then I couldn't work it out because it's like it said phone this number and I didn't know how to do it. It wasn't numbers, it was letters, and I was like, I can't do it. It's too complicated.
Too much work.
Yeah.
But and we also have After Olenor, which is my side project with Greg Dan, who you guys know.
Yes, we do.
Which is the Horus Heresy Book Club. So I will shamelessly plug that all I can because, I like listeners.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I've started listening to the Horus reading the Horus Heresy, and it's been good. It's been good with the 2 books I've done. So, and you've
read the first one.
Yeah, you've had the first one as well. Yeah,
so it's very good. Yeah.
Good.
Well, we go through the show. Dan knows a lot of the history and stuff that I don't know, so it's kind of fun. It's like watching a sporting event. Dan's the guy who knows all the stuff, and I'm like the color commentator. I'm the guy who doesn't know what's coming up and reads and goes, "Oh wow, look at this! Oh wow, look at that!"
Shiny. Yeah.
Right. But then I bring the English teacher point of it too in, so I try to at least. So I try to bring in some of the literary technique and some of the point out the actual writing is actually quality and looking at the symbolism and looking
the literary
at yeah. So we try to actually approach it as something more than just bolter. So
excellent. Well, check that out, guys. If you are into your
Horus heresy.
Into your Horus heresy. So that's great. But cheers for joining us, guys, and I'm sure we'll speak to you on a show in the next 100 episodes with any luck.
Well, we'll see you at Adepticon.
Oh, we'll see you. Yeah,
absolutely.
And we'll be recording
Definitely.
it with Adepticon with you, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
definitely. I can't wait. I always like doing a bit of podcasting, surprisingly. So we'll see you there.
All right, thanks,
Excellent.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so I think we're out of time there, Wayne. We haven't really got time for a Beardy Weedy Week. We're going to save that for the next show because we'll have many weeks to talk about. I know I'm desperate to talk to you about my first Triumph and Treachery game, and by the time the next show goes out, I probably would have played plenty more games. We've got a big tournament coming up in Sheffield Slaughter that you and I attend every year. My record's been either diabolical or I won it.
It's been extreme, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. It'll be good. I'm going to be busting vampires out for sure on that. I'm not sure if I'll get anything painted before, but I have sitting next to Wayne's a nice little.
You got a few units there ready to go, haven't you?
Ready to paint, but I've just got to get them. But in the weather we're experiencing now, spraying them is half the problem. So we'll get there. And you're probably going to be taking rats, aren't you? I take it.
I'm definitely taking rats. Yeah, I'm just I'm kind of looking at realistically about America as well because we've only really got sort of 2.5 months. So I mean, there's other projects I'm working on which I'm going to continue to do, but I really need to sort out. I'm adding some stuff to it basically.
Yeah.
So I'm going to add a few bits for Sheffield. I haven't got much time, but then I need to spend the next couple of months getting it ready for America.
Yeah, and we'll look at lists and things, won't we? Just so you can make sure you take something that's half decent. That'd be good.
Yeah, and the biggest problem for me is going to be transporting it. You know, that could be a major headache.
Yeah,
I'll work something out.
Yeah, I'm never keen on it. I mean, I've done it a lot over the last sort of 4 years, but it's never entertaining. It always worries me. So that'd be quite interesting. But we're all booked up. We've got flights and everything ready to roll. So let's hope they can get our army there in one piece on the flight over there.
I think mine's going to be but it would just be my hand luggage.
Yeah,
I don't have anything else. I just have my army.
I have a feeling if I can get the selection right, mine could easily be hand luggage. So that's good. I've got a 432 battle foam case that fits on the. I'm sure will fit on hand luggage on the flight we're on. So I think I'll look at that. So that's good. So anyway, more of that on the next show. I think it's time to get out of here. So I'd like to thank our sponsors, www.oddgames.co.uk. Thanks for your support over our rehashed period. We've really appreciated it during this restart. Make sure you check them out. There's a code in the show notes that will get you an extra discount on all their products. But if you're really into your card games, and there's a real, I don't know about you, Wayne, but I know we're quite Twitter fans, aren't we? And the wargaming scene on Twitter. But there just seems more and more people playing side games like Zombie Side and trading card games and all these kind of things that you can get at Odd Games. So make sure you check those guys out. You know, they don't do currently a lot of the Warhammer stuff, but they do a lot of the hobby things like magnets. And magnetic sheeting and all the things you still need. So just check those guys out for all of that kind of stuff.
Like X-Wing and stuff. You know, there's a lot of people playing X-Wing at the moment, isn't there? And other games. But I think it goes in trends, doesn't it? Sometimes it's kind of, we went for a period where it was just all Warhammer, and then loads of people we know are now just playing other games. They're still playing Warhammer, obviously, but they're playing other games as well.
Yeah,
which is very healthy,
especially around Christmas. I find at the end of the year, people do just start to take a bit of a chill pill. So it's good. Check those guys out. Make sure that if you want to support the show, we have booked our flights to America, but it's basically all on a credit card at the moment, and we're hoping that the show can continue to support us to reduce that and pay that off. I want to say a massive thanks to all those of you donated so far. We've been going really, really well, but we still do need your help. So please, if you can spare a few quid or dollars, donate. You can find it on the website. There's a donate button for Adepticon, and all donations gratefully received. We've still got a bit of time on our hands looking at it where we can fit you in if you want to, donate for something. If you want us to, give you a warm up game or whatever you want for Adepticon, we've still got a bit of time there that we can do something in. If it times right, so bear that in mind. We've both got doubles partners, which we're really looking forward to. Actually, I'm pumped for that. It's going to be good. Really, really pumped, and looking forward to meeting my partner. Well. It's always a good surprise. A bit like Whoops.
Yeah, I'm going to be playing with Jeff, and he's using lizards.
Yep.
So it was funny actually. He sent me an email saying, because I was painting Brett's at the time, he said, the lizards and the Brett's are going to work out really well. And I'm like, I'm not taking Brett's, I'm taking Skaven.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Although you probably could have found the Brett's easy to transport, but still.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
still time. That's great. So thanks everybody has supported, and if you do want to help us do that. Now the best way you can get yourself some content and also help us is by joining our Saucy section. It's It's just £18 for 12-month period, and you get the entire backlog of the Heelanhammer archives back from episode 1. You get all our army review listings and a load of shows that we do. We try and get 1 to 2 shows a month up there specifically on topics, quite often starring special guests via Skype or out and about recording whatever we're doing. I know we've got one on there from UK #1 Russ Veal talking about just how to get better at Warhammer. We've got one from Steve Wren, Slam Dunk Design on the forum, who's one of the UK's best army painters, and he is on there talking to us about competitive army painting basically. So there's tons of stuff. They're just 2 recent ones that have gone up, so make sure you get that. Some content. Obviously, with the winter break just gone, we haven't had anything up for a few weeks, but there will be moving forward, especially with the tournament coming up. I'm sure we're going to get some extra content in and around that event. So that's pretty much us, guys. So I hope you've enjoyed the last 100 shows. Next show, we'll see a return to the usual segments, and we'll be talking about our lead up to the next event and have a good topic for you then. And finally, the keen-eared and the ones of you that are counting may have realised that we haven't actually had 10 guests and made the 100 questions. The reason for that is that we decided, as very lame as it may appear to some of you, that you, the listener, can be the 10th of our guests. Ask yourselves the questions and reflect mainly upon what you've found to be the most memorable Heelanhammer moment. And I'll leave you with that. I'm really interested to hear it if you have had, if you can think of a real good example of your most memorable Heelanhammer experiences or memories, please just email him in, tweet us, post them on the forum. So Wayne, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm done.
Thanks for your support over the 100 episodes, guys. We've really enjoyed it, and we look forward to the next 100. So we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Bye.